Thank you, ma'am.
Madam has more than 22 years of academic experience, and at present she is serving as Associate Professor of Quantitative Techniques and Research Methods at BK School of Professional and Management Studies, Gujarat University. Madam is also the head of Department of Business Intelligence at BK School and an academic coordinator of Institute of Defence Studies and Research, the institute supported by Government of Gujarat and the Defence Research and Development Organization. Prior to joining here, Madam was associated with National Institute of Cooperative Management, Gandhinagar, as assistant professor since 2001 and associate professor cum reader since 2007. Madam's academic journey began with graduation from KS School of Business Management. She went on to complete her MBA with specialization in finance. She has done her doctorate in banking management with a thesis entitled A Study on the Service Quality and Customer Satisfaction among Private, Public and Foreign Banks with reference to Gujarat region. To further strengthen her academic base, Madam also did Masters in Commerce with specialization in Business Finance from Gujarat University, where she was declared a topper. Dr. Brahmabhat Madam has also done her diploma in computer application, certificate course in SPSS, that is Statistical Package for Social Sciences, and a postgraduate diploma in research methodology from VNSTU Surat, where she was declared a first rank holder. She has cleared her NET in management and GSLET in commerce. Indeed, the academic journey of Madam is proof enough to know her as an intellectual who believes in being recognized as a versatile academician. As part of her academic journey, Madam has presented as well as published papers in several major international and national refereed journals, and 23 of her research papers have received the Best Research Paper Award. As of today, Madam has to her credit 210 plus published research papers and 30 books. Madam has conducted more than 270 sessions on research methods and SPSS and has been invited by 40 different universities for various other academic sessions. Madam was selected for Jewel of India Award by Economic Growth Society of India and is also the recipient of National Education Award for Best Professor in Operation Management and Education, Leadership Award from Devang Mehta National Education, and Teaching Excellence Award by Higher Education Forum Gujarat. She is also the recipient of MTC Global Distinguished Teachers Award Management 2020 and National Eminent Young Researcher Award 2020 by International Institute of Organized Research. Madam, it is indeed an honor to have you with us today. Thank you, and I now turn it over to you to begin your session. Thank you.
Thank you, Jayashree.
Yeah.
Good evening, participant. My today's topic, someone has to give me the permission for sharing the screen.
Ma'am, it is allowed now.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. I hope my whiteboard is visible now. Yes, good evening, participant. My today's topic is, I am going to deal with the descriptive analytics using the SPSS software. So you all know that the SPSS, it is used by all social science researchers. The full form of SPSS is Statistical Package for Social Science. So management, commerce, law, nowadays even the pure science faculty, they also have started using this kind of software. So earlier it was for social science, but now company has renamed this name, and now the almost all the branches of education, they are using this software. So before we'll start about the SPSS, I just want to know that today's session will be introductory session, like how to deal with the descriptive data analysis, and the day after tomorrow, I think on Monday, Probably I have another session that that time we will deal with the inferential data analysis using SPSS. Now on my screen, the SPSS window is open. So if you see that there are two type of window, data window and variable. This is variable view. This is data. I hope that is visible.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, ma'am.
Fine. So the variable view, if I have to talk to layman, then what is the variable view? Variable view, it is nothing, but it is nothing but the performer of your questionnaire. Yeah. So if you are preparing the questionnaire in Word document, so whatever the questionnaire you have prepared, these questions you have to enter when I'm talking about the variable view. So variable view, it is just, you can simply say that it is nothing but it is my blank questionnaire. Before I'm sending to respondent, what is the questionnaire? That is the performer of the questions. It is reflected here in the variable view. Once the respondents, they are giving the responses will be added here in the data view. Okay. So data view, you can say that it is nothing but it is a field questionnaire. Variable view, it is a questionnaire prepared by the researcher. Clear? So the basic difference between the variable view and data view you can consider is like variable view, it is the questionnaire prepared by the researcher, and the data view, it is the questionnaire answered by the respondent. So in the variable view, if you see, there are many columns like name, type, with decimal, labels, value, missing, column, alignment, measure, and role. This many columns are there in the SPSS. Out of this many columns, 4 or 5 most important columns that I am going to discuss today. Now the first column, titled name, this column, there are two use of this column, or there are two ways in which you can enter the data here. If you are doing the academic research, then I will suggest that in the column called title name, you enter your questions. Question 1, sub question 1. So question 1_1. This is the one format of entering the data. If you are doing the academic research, normally under the column title name, we are going to add short summary of our questions. Yeah. So here in the first column, title name, I have to enter the short summary of a whole question. So if I have a big question, like after today's my session gets over, and if the coordinator, they are asking for the feedback, so then they will say like the kindly rate today's session on 1 to 5 like a scale, where 1 it is highly dissatisfied and 5 it is highly satisfied. So this is the whole question. The whole question I have to enter here in the column label. But what is the small summary of that question? That is feedback. So feedback, that is a small summary of the given question, can be added here. So now there are two types of the researcher. One, the researcher are the academicians like us, and another researchers category, I can say that those who are doing consultancy. So I am in both the category. I am doing academic research also, and I am doing the research companies also. So if you are doing the research for consultancy purpose or job, then here I will suggest under the first column, you enter the short summary of your whole question. If you are academician, then I will suggest you enter the question number. Yeah. So later on, if you want to relate that question, you can relate very well. So for I am assuming here that we all are academicians. So here under the question 1, column name, you have to enter the numbers, question numbers. So question _1. SPSS is not taking any blank spaces. Clear? So that's why I'm using underscore everywhere. So blank spaces are not allowed. That's why if you want to enter anything here, then you can use the underscore. So question _1. What is type with decimal, that I will discuss later on. Label is nothing but the whole question. आपका जो पूरा question बनाया हुआ है, that you have to enter here in the column label, like name of the respondent. Yeah. Values I am discussing. Measures also have to discuss. Now, second question. Question number 2 may be the gender of the respondent. So here, if I have to enter the short summary of the whole question under the title column name, I will enter name. Clear? Instead of question_1, if you want to enter for your research purpose, then you can enter name also. Under question 2, you can enter gender also. But for academicians, I will suggest always enter the number, question 1, question 2, like that. Now, my first question, it is the name of the respondent. I'll go to data view and the question 1 is there. Yeah. So suppose assume that my first respondent is Professor Jayashree. So if I want to enter here, I have already entered the name. Okay, formatting is proper. Just automatically is going to remove. So if I use the tab button, see it is this. Again, I'm typing the name, maybe Professor Atul, I'm typing. You can see that Professor Atul, it is here, it is visible. But once I'm changing the window or tab, it is disappearing. Why it is doing such? Why it is the problem? Because the first question, the name of the respondent, it is not numeric. So the second column I'm trying to explain, that is type. So if you click on type, here there are, if you can see the 3 button, 3 small dot, click on that, and if you see that the variable types are displayed. So SPSS, all the question by default SPSS are taking, it is by default, it is considering as numeric value. Name, address of the respondents are not in numbers. Yeah. We are entering alphabets. So if you any questions, answer if it is alphabet. So you have to change the type of a question, type of a variable from numbers to string. So second last option, it is there, it is string. So if you want to enter the alphabets, that means the numbers are not useful. So I have to change the type of a variable from numeric value to string. Now I am changing here. Okay. And if I now try to enter my first respondent name, so then my first respondent name, it is added. Now it will not disappear. Now it will remain as it is. Why earlier it was getting removed? Because I have not defined the variable type and I was trying to enter the alphabets. Okay. So by default, SPSS is taking all the question in number form. If you want to use alphabets, then you have to change the type of variable. So my second column, it is type. So this type, it is indicating many other things like dollar and sign that we are, if you want to use, you can use. But popularly, we are using 2 things, that is number and alphabet. So if you want to enter any numbers, then you can change the type from string to numeric. If you want to enter alphabets, then you can enter string value. So that is the second column. So in the first column, for academician, you should enter the question number. And if you are doing research for consultancy, then you add short summary of your question. The second column, near name, it is type. If you want to enter numbers, then you should enter numeric values and you have to change the type from string to numeric. And if you want to enter the name or address of the respondent, then you should change from numbers to string. Clear? Okay. Now, here the gender of the respondent, as a researcher, I have a choice. I can ask the question in 4 different ways. And what are that? It is popularly known as measurement scale. Yeah. So as a researcher, you have a choice that what way you want to ask the question to the respondent, and that choices are known as measurement scales. So measurement scales are useful for making comparison. If I'm asking someone, yes, आपका salary per month salary कितना है? If someone is saying 1,000, then I'm assuming that person is saying in rupees. But maybe वो dollar में बता सकता है, clear? So you should have a uniform platform when you are asking the question. So that's why the measurement scales are used to make the comparison. Whatever you want to ask, the same thing, even your respondents, they are getting. So measurement scales, it is used for measuring the construct, measuring the variable. And popularly, there are 4 types of the measurement scale, namely nominal, ordinal, interval, and the last one is ratio. Clear? So now, if you see this last column of SPSS variable view, I have here measures. Clear? Second last column. So this measurement scale I'm talking about, because I will be taking the reference here in the values, and that's why I have to explain what is measurement scale. So there are 4 types of the measurement scale: nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio. power of doing the statistical test, it is increasing when you are moving from nominal to ordinal to interval to ratio. So highest powerful tool for making any statistical entry or any statistical. Hello, any questions? Nominal, interval and ratio. Now nominal has got the less power of doing any statistical analysis. If you want to make the research paper, or if you want to do analysis with lot of the inferential statistical analysis, then you should go with the interval and ratio, because these two are the most powerful measurements. So nominal, ordinal, interval and ratio, what are the characteristics of nominal? Yes, ma'am, can you mute me?
Can't see. Somebody has unmuted, I think. Can you please mute yourself?
I think Jyoti madam. Jyoti ma'am, can you unmute yourself? Jyoti Pari.
Jyoti madam, can you please mute yourself?
Okay, I think there was some background noise coming from. It's okay, chalo, ignore it. So nominal, the data characteristics for data nominal scale is, the nominal scale, it is used for making the categories. It is used for making classifications. It is used for making the classification. It is used for making the categories. The important characteristics of the nominal, it is, if you have a variable, that variable can be divided into different categories. That is the nominal scale. Ordinal, as the name suggests, it is nothing but it is the order of preference that is followed under the ordinal. So let us take an example to understand this. Nominal. So if I have a variable called gender, gender can be classified into two different subcategories. One number I can give to male, female I can assign the second code. So this number 1 and 2 here I have used, it is only for making the classification. It is used for making two different categories. So if I'm entering my data in any of the software, then I can get the idea the number 2 category, it is showing the female respondent, and number 1 category, it is showing the male respondent. So here these two numbers 1 and 2, it is only used for making the two categories. I think now it is muted. Okay. So here these numbers 1 and 2, it is not signifying anything. It is disturbing other participant also. Shall I continue or wait? Just a minute.
It is from Dr. Kaur actually.
Dr. Kaur.
Dr. Savita Patil mic is also on. Dr. Savita Patil, her mic is also on. Dr. Savita Patil, can you please mute yourself? I think she is driving, probably. Okay, now no voice. Okay. So here the number 1 and 2 used here, it is only for making the category. This number 1 and 2, it is not signifying anything. If I'm giving the one number to male, that doesn't mean that male are superior to female, and that's why I have given the number 1 code to them. And if the male candidate, they are having such feeling, then I can make it like this. So 0, it is a category for male, 1, it is category for female. Clear? So this number here, it is not signifying any order. This number are used only for making the two different categories, that is male and female. So I have a one variable, and that variable it is divided into two categories, male and female. And to just have a differentiation into category wise, I have used two number 1 and 2. So here number
every
1.
24 hours. So you have a meeting every 24 hours. That is every day in the morning.
So here number 1 and 2, it is used only for making the two subcategories. It is classification. These numbers are not signifying anything. So this is called nominal scale. In nominal scale, whatever the numbers you are using, it is just showing the category, or it is used for identification. Getting my point? It is used for identification. Clear? Nothing else. It is used for identification. Now we all know that the cricketers' t-shirt numbers are there. Clear? Cricketers' t-shirt numbers are there, and right now बहुत सारा cricket चल रहा है ना. अगर आप देखो बुमराह का t-shirt number, even I don't know, but I am assuming it is 72. So this 72, it is not signifying his order of batting, because that 72 players तो होते भी नहीं है cricket में. Clear? But Bumrah ka t-shirt number, if it is 72, it is just the identification, it is label given to that. To make it very simpler, let me take one more example. Like Mahendra Singh Dhoni's t-shirt number, it is 7, but whenever the 7 number is there, it is not signifying his category. It is just the label. Clear? It is not deciding his batting position. 7th number पे महेंद्र सिंह धोनी कभी आज तक आया नहीं है बैटिंग के लिए. Clear? So this t-shirt number 7, it is just for identification. It is just for classification of different cricketers into the categories, and that's why the number 7 it is used. It is not deciding his batting order. चलो ओपनिंग बैट्समैन नहीं है, पर वन डाउन बैट्समैन में पहले आता था. So number 7 displayed backside of his t-shirt, it is not giving the significance that this order of batting it is 7. It is just for identification. So कहीं पर भी ground में वो खड़े हैं तो हमें पहचान सकते हैं कि yes, Dhoni is there. Clear? The second category of scale, it is ordinal scale. Here we all are professors and we are from academic side. So I can say that yes, we have this designation. This is the variable, and this variable it is designation. So designation I have defined into 4 categories, like dean, professor, associate professor, and 4 assistant professor. And the 4th one, it is assistant professor. So here the variable called designation is divided into 4 categories. So what is the first significance? When you move from nominal to ordinal, the characteristics of the nominal are inbuilt in the ordinal. So यहाँ पे these numbers, but obviously it is classifying the designation. So designation is a variable. That variable is divided into 4 categories, and this 4th category जो दिख रहा है number 4, it is giving the label to assistant professor. Associate professor are labeled as number 3. Clear? So but obviously it is for identification, it is making classification. But here one more thing it is there, and it is that what? It is seniority. Who is senior? So professor, but obviously it is senior to associate professor, and associate professor it is senior to assistant professor. Clear? So here this number 3 and number 4, it also signifies the rank of a professor. Clear? But if I am talking about the previous scale, like nominal, male and female, there is no ranking between them. Clear? Male and female में कोई rank नहीं है. But यहाँ पर अगर मैं देखूँ तो highest position it is with dean, second highest position is professor, and associate professor I have given the rank 3. So here when I am doing this variable called designation, this is divided into 4 categories. The number displayed side में जो दिख रहे हैं, it is obviously giving the label. It is dividing the variables into different categories. But one more thing, this number also gives the rank. So nominal, how it is different from nominal? In nominal, number 1, male किया है, so that male respondents are not denoted as rank 1. It is just the category. I have divided them into 2 categories. Clear? So when I'm giving 1 and 2, it is not showing the rank because they were the nominal data. But when I'm talking about designation like this, Then, but obvious a seniority aspect is included. So this is the ordinal data. So in short, ordinal data, order of data, it is increasing or decreasing. If it is decreasing, then it is a reverse ordinal scale. So suppose if I'm talking about category variable like age, so many a times we are describing age into various category like this. Yeah, 30 to 45, more than 45. So this is what? A variable age is divided into different category and order of age it is increasing. So this is the ordinal characteristics of an age. Fine. So I hope the nominal and ordinal it is clear, because all your statistical analysis is based on the measurement scale. If your measurement scales are clear, everything is clear at the end. Now the next one, if assume that there are, I am preparing the result for my students, and then the result are like this. Out of 100, one student got 98 marks, another student is getting around 80, another student his marks are 72. Clear? So first rank it is 98, second rank student it getting 80 marks, third student is getting 72 marks, and ranking it is third. But if you see the difference between the first two, 98 minus 18, see the difference. Clear? So that difference it is huge. And if you see the difference here, it is a difference of only 8 marks. Clear? So when I'm talking about rank, that means the ordinal scale, when I'm talking about, in ordinal scale, the equal difference are not taking into consideration. It is just the rank. I am rank number 1, I am rank number 2. Clear? So that way the distance are calculated. So 98 to 80, distance it is of 18 number, and 80 to 78, the distance it is of 8 marks. Clear? But when I am saying it is a rank 1, rank 2, and rank 3. But if you see there is a distance, this person it is away from this. If you kind of identify the difference, then exact difference it is 18 mark, and here the difference it is of 8 mark. So when I'm talking about the ordinal scale it is not taking into consideration the distance between the two categories. Clear? And to overcome the limitation of this scale, we have another scale, and that scale it is known as interval scale. And that scale it is known as the interval scale. So without knowing the scale, many a times we have used that kindly give your feedback on 1 to 5 Likert scale. What we are saying here, the distance between these two categories, these 5 categories, it is equal. The distance. So what we are writing, kindly give the feedback on 1 to 5 Likert scale. When 1 it is highly dissatisfied and 5 it is highly satisfied. So we are writing the extreme points, and we are assuming that these two all other distance are equal. Like 5 minus 4 it is 3, 1. 4 minus 3 it is 1. 3 minus 2 it is 1. 2 minus 1 it is 1. So distance between these subcategories it is equal, that we are assuming when we are talking about the interval scale. Clear? So ordinal scale, again, go back to the example of the rank given. 98 minus 80, distance it is 18 marks. 80 minus 72, distance it is of 8 marks. But that distance I am not taking into consideration when we are using the ordinal scale. But in the interval scale, here we have exact distance. See, distance it is here 1. Distance it is 1. So what we are assuming here, that difference between the highly satisfied, it is equal to satisfied. Clear? Highly dissatisfied and dissatisfied, this difference and this difference it is equal, that we are assuming when we are talking about the interval scale. Yeah. And the last scale we have, it is ratio. So ratio, it is always open-ended question, like ask the age of the respondent and give the blank space. That person will write his or her age. Income of the respondent, income per month, year, whatever you want to ask, per annum, they will enter. Clear? So when you give the open-ended question, it is a form of a ratio. But the main difference between the ratio and interval scale, it is, many times आपने पढ़ा होगा book में, the 0 is fixed and 0 is arbitrary. What is the difference between these two? So ratio and interval, difference lies what is the position of 0. So when I'm saying temperature of this room, it is 0. Yeah. So I am taking into consideration the variable called temperature. So variable called temperature, it is there in the existence, even though the value is 0. Yes. Why? Because it is the following the interval scale, wherein I am assuming that 0 is not the starting point, 0 is arbitrary. So when I'm saying is 0 temperature, that doesn't mean the temperature variable, it is not there in the existence. Variable called temperature, it is there in the existence. When 0 temperature is there, maybe मुझे ठंड लग सकता है. Yeah. So, but when I'm saying income is 0, so that means the 0 is at starting point. 0 is a starting point. When I'm saying income is 0, that means that particular respondent, if I'm studying the variable income, then I should not include that person, because that variable income, it is not there in the existence. Clear? So when I'm saying income is 0, that means that variable is existence in a. But when I'm saying temperature is 0, that means the variable is there, because temperature starting point is not the 0. The 0, it is defined arbitrarily. So that is the difference between the nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio. Nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio. Now, in statistics or the researcher, we say the combined name. If I have to give to nominal and ordinal, then I can say it is nothing but it is the categorical variable. Clear? It is nothing but a categorical variable. So nominal and ordinal combinedly, I have to say, then I can say it is a categorical variable. Interval and ratio, if I have to combinedly speak about them, then I will say it is a scale variable. It is a scale variable. Clear? So categorical variable, you can say that it could be a qualitative type of data. Scale, it is a quantitative type of data. So you can also define like metric data, non-metric data. That way also these variables can be defined. Now, all your statistical analysis that you want to perform, all statistical technique, it is dependent on your measurement skill. So what kind of a combination of the questions you are using for the data, accordingly your statistical treatment will be defined. So if you have two questions of nominal and ordinal, then what kind of a statistical analysis? If you have a two question, both are a scale question, then what treatment you can give to your data? That depends on your measurement scale. So if I have to, I'm writing a very simple example. One variable I have recorded, it is age, and then that age I have divided into two different categories like this: 20 to 30, 30 to 45, more than 45. This is the one variable. Another variable that I'm using here, that is also age, but now this age I have recorded in the form of ratio. The another variable that I'm using, no income, I don't want to use income, just a minute. And the second question I have used, it is the awareness level on 1 to 5 Likert scale. Now see the questions. Both the questions, the one with written with the black and another with the red color. If you see the variable involved here, there are two variables. One it is age and another it is the awareness level about something. Maybe it is a banking charges, maybe it is awareness about COVID-19, anything. So that I have not defined, but the variable that I am using, it is age and awareness. So now the first question, that age written with the black color, it is ordinal. The age of a respondent, it is increasing. So this particular question, it is ordinal. Are you aware about that? Yes or no? This question, it is nominal. Here, if you see the age, I have asked in the form of ratio, and this is interval. So now if you are combining, if you want to identify the relationship between the age and awareness of that variable, so then you can find out there is no significant relation between the age and awareness. If this is the hypothesis, if you want to test, then by combining the questions written with the black color, you will be able to do chi-square. You will be able to do chi-square. And by combining the question written with the red color, you will be able to do correlation. So if you have a two categorical question, by combining that two categorical question, you will be able to do chi-square. If you have scale question, you will be able to do correlation. Clear? So now, what data measurement scale you are using, that determines your data technique. So if you want to use chi-square, obviously you have to go for a categorical data. And if you want to perform correlation analysis in your thesis, then obviously you have to go for scale data. With scale data, you will not be able to do chi-square. And with categorical data, you will not be able to do correlation. So as a researcher, you must decide what statistical technique you are going to follow, or what, yes, question?
Yeah, ma'am, you can continue. I have muted the one, I think, who had unmuted. Ma'am? Ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, you can continue because somebody had unmuted. So I just muted everyone and I tried now.
Fine.
Sorry. Yeah.
So if what kind of a statistical analysis you want to perform, it is highly dependent on your measurement scale. So normally what we are doing, we are preparing the questionnaire and then we are deciding our statistical technique. That is a wrong method. Sorry. We have to decide our statistical technique first, and then we have to design a questionnaire. So your statistical technique that you want to go for research, that it is depending on the data measurement scale. So first you decide what statistical technique you want to go for, what treatment you want to give to your data, and that depends on your objectives. Yeah. So everything it is correlated. Which statistical technique you want to perform, it is linked with your objectives. So
Sorry, ma'am, I think
yeah. मुझे बार बार unmute कर देते
yeah. नहीं, I think it's waiting room. Yeah, ma'am. Sorry.
So you want me to repeat?
Yeah, if you can.
Okay. So your statistical technique, it is depending on your measurement scale. So the example that I have given, that if you want to do chi-square, you should have two categorical questions. And if you want to do correlation, you have to have two scale questions. Yeah. With scale question, you will not be able to do chi-square, and with categorical question, you will not be able to do correlation. So before finalizing your questionnaire, decide your statistical technique. क्या करना है? Which treatment you want to give to your data must be decided before you prepare the questionnaire. But almost all the researchers, they are doing, they are first preparing the questionnaire, they are collecting the data, and after collecting the data, they are asking the help of the statistician that please perform this test on this. It is not possible. Clear? And I have seen that 99.99 times percentage of the time that all the research scholars were pursuing PhD under my guidance, they are doing the same thing. They collect the data, they design the questionnaire, they collect the data, and later on they are asking, madam, इसको कोई test लगा दो, hypothesis कर देते, नहीं होगा. Yeah. So you decide your objectives, keeping in mind your objective, you decide your statistical technique, statistical treatment you want to give to your data, and then design your questionnaire. And on the basis of that, you will be able to do the statistical technique which you are interested in doing. Okay, so let us go back to our SPSS window.
Madam?
Yes.
Yeah, can I interrupt? Because there is some question. Are you going to take question in between or at the end of the session?
Anytime.
Because there is one question on, ma'am, if you can give one more example for correlation and chi-square, please.
I can give. Fine.
there is another question which is again asking what is chi-square.
So I am explaining the SPSS. The today's session, it is hands-on SPSS descriptive status data. The question they are asking, it is from my second session. So that I have not yet started. I am explaining the SPSS window.
Okay.
But no problem. I'll explain what they are asking. Type of only crime. No. Suppose you want to identify the relationship between the income level and the phone, that mobile phone that they are using. Is there any association between the two? So the question that I have written, see the income level, it is asked in category. I am going to take my category here. तो बहुत बार my daughter is saying to मम्मी मैं तो तुम्हारी जैसे प्रोफेसर हूँ तो आईफोन ही यूज करो, आईफोन 13 प्रो मैक्स क्या होता है वही मैं तो यूज करूंगी. So then this is the question for research. So that is a perception of a kid that can be studied. Is there any relation between the phone that you are carrying and the income that you are generating? Is if you want to identify this relation, and for that I had asked these two questions. Income I had asked in the categorical form, and even the type of the phone that person is having, it is also in category. So I'm going to take here. So when you are taking this kind of the checkbox are there, and if you are taking both the questions, it is called categorical question. By combining two categorical question, you can perform chi-square. Clear? Done? Is there any question in the chat box now left?
No, that's it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And if the income, if I have written, then let me write this also. Erase entire karna. So if you have asked income in this fashion, income, this is the question 1, and the type of phone type जो भी है, 1 and 2, iPhone, another. Clear? So here my second question, it is categorical, but my first question, it is non-categorical. It is scale. I am going to enter my data here. Yeah. So by combining these two questions, you will not be able to do chi-square. You will be able to do independent t-test. Yeah. So that I am going to discuss, I think, the last day of FDP, 18th, that session is there. Okay. Coming back to the SPSS window again. So now why I have explained everything, because I want to show here the measurement scale. So measurement scale ke liye I have to explain the what is nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio. So gender of the respondent, now I have to define what is the one here. So you as a researcher, you know that one I have defined as a male candidate, add, and 2 I have defined as female candidate, so add it here. So now this 2 is added. So what is label? Label, it is nothing but the whole questions of research, and in the neighboring column or the adjoining column values, it is nothing but the subcategory. Yeah. So till now I have explained 4 columns. The first column, it is name. You enter the short summary of your question or the question number. The second, it is a type column, wherein if you want to enter the alphabets, then you have to enter as a non-numeric string value type. And if you want to enter the code, then it is a numeric one. The third column that I have explained here, it is the label. Label, it is nothing but the whole question. Pura question. It cut, copy, paste, it is there. So if you had prepared that option, it is available. So if you are prepared in the Word document, you can paste here. So if any question has got the subcategory, that subcategories are reflected in the column title values. So I have defined here. Now, what is the 1? It is male, 2, it is female. Now, whatever the things you are writing under the column label and values, it will be displayed everywhere when you are taking the output. So जब आप print out ले रहे हो, so this 2 column will be reflected. So you have to ensure that there is no grammatical and formatting mistake here. Otherwise, it will be, if you are preparing the pie chart, it will be reflected there. So if you are writing like this, suppose 1 is M. What is this? Clear? So if I'm entering like this, I want to change. So if you are preparing the pie chart out of this, then one category it is showing M, another category it is reflecting female. So this is formatting wise, there is error. So whatever the thing you are displaying in here, it will be display everywhere. So you have to ensure that key, whatever the changes or whatever the questions you are copying, it should be error free. Otherwise, आपको हर एक जगह वो reflect करेगा. One male candidate. So no grammatical, no formatting mistake in these two columns. Clear? Now gender of the respondent, it is nominal. So nominal. Clear? Question number 3. Age of the respondent. So I'm just writing age. If you are writing age, then in your printout that you are taking or pie chart which you are preparing, it will show age. Okay, so now I have a 3-4 category. Like the first category I have, 1 is equal to age bracket 20 to 30. Add my second value category, it is 30 to 45 years. Add, and the third category, it is more than 45. 45. Add. So order of a age, it is increasing. So this is not the nominal question. This is ordinal. So it is ordinal question. Question number 4. I want to know the income of the respondent. So I am just writing income per month. If you want to keep a subcategory, then you can click it here and you can enter, but I don't want to keep any subcategory. I want to know the exact income of the respondent. So I'm keeping as open-ended question. So if it is open-ended question, then this particular thing will be scale question. Question number 5. Feedback. Rate your feedback of this session. तो पूरा मैं नहीं लिख रही हूँ, आपको लिखना है. So then here it is 1 is equal to highly dissatisfied, 1. 2 is equal to dissatisfied. So this HD and D you should not write. You have to define the whole variables. Clear? But abhi time nahi hai, so I'm writing like this. You don't do that. 4 it is satisfied. 5 it is highly satisfied. This is one way, and if you are entering this way, then this is ordinal question. I want to enter as the scale question, then how I can enter? This could be the one. 1 is equal to highly dissatisfied. 2 is equal to 2. I am not defining the labels. If you are defining the labels, then satisfaction will say it is ordinal. So I am defining just the two extremes, nothing else. I is equal to I. Clear? Okay. So all these types of the question that you have to enter in the SPS, I have already entered. Clear? Now this is the question. The questions that you are going to ask to the respondent, you have to enter here. Now question number 6, suppose could be like this. Content FDP. Clear? So here you can click on this, or you can copy this. So if there are many statements like this, suppose you have 100 statement like this, then you can easily copy paste here. Yes, so this is possible. See, automatically that entry is done. So those who are working on the exploratory factor analysis and they have many statement like 50 statement, and every time you did not have to define 1 to 5. You can copy this scale easily. So see, I have not entered this. I have copied from the previous question. So that facility is there. So this is the performer of your questionnaire. Questionnaire performer, it is entered in the variable view. Now, data view is nothing but it is entry. Clear? So my second question, it is the gender. Third question is age, income. So I can enter gender is 2. Third, it is age. I am into third category. Income of mine, it is 40,000. Question 5 क्या है? Feedback. And question 6 is the content of this. So see, it is 3. and here it is 2 or maybe 3. Clear? So this is the first respondent. So when this one row it is done, that means the first respondent entry it is done. Second respondent entry can be done. Second respondent, male candidate. Atul Bhai is male candidate 1. He is into the second category. Monthly income of his is 60,000. And then he like this, and the content also the 4. Clear? Now, if you see the everywhere after number, the 2 digits are reflected. If you want to remove, then you can remove this decimal. You can make it 0. Yeah. If you don't want that decimal points, then you can make it here 0, 0. So now you see your data view. It is earlier it is 2.00, 40,000.00. So it is reflected. I have removed them. Yeah. Now if you want the alignment, this alignment is not proper. I want to make a center alignment, then I can make it from here. Yeah. So this way, almost all the column I have explained. But remember, the most important columns are the first column, second, label and values. This 4 are the last, fifth one, measurement column. Clear? If you are defining this 2, rest are the self-explanatory. Now you see the data view. Clear? So this way, variable view, it is your questionnaire prepared by the researcher, and data view is nothing but the, once you get the responses, you have to enter here. Clear? No, nowadays, most of the time we are not preparing. Now, earlier when I did my PhD, that time I have collected the data using the hard copy of questionnaire. But now with the use of the internet, we are sending the Google link, and once the person, they click the submit button, the automatically entry will be there in your Gmail account. So you can enter that data directly here in the SPSS. Clear? But before entering the data, you have to work it on that. Directly, you cannot import the data as it is. And if you're doing so, then it will create the missing variables. Many blank spaces will be added. So this is the one way of preparing the questionnaire or entering the data like this. If you do not want to follow like this, then what is the method that I'm showing? So this method you can use when you are collecting the data using the hard copy of questionnaire. But now we all are preparing the Google link. We are sending the link to the questionnaire link to the respondent, and we are having the data. So there is no need to do data entry. Data entry करा हुआ एक Excel form हमारे पास आ जाता है. If it is that like that, then क्या करना है? So that file I am showing.
Ma'am,
Yes.
there is one question. It's a kind of statement. AMOS is used instead of SPSS.
AMOS.
Yeah.
Who is asking this question?
Shreya Samir.
Shreya ma'am, I think you are new to the SPSS, is it?
Shreya ma'am, you can unmute yourself and ask this directly to ma'am.
Yes, madam. Little SPSS I know about it, but during that
Amos, you
course
don't
which I
know.
had attended.
Okay, so AMOS, it is used for structural equation modeling. So if you have a model building exercise, it is a part of a SPSS, and you can do using AMOS.
Okay, madam.
Fine. So
Yeah.
Now, suppose you have a lot of relationship to be built. It is like this. Suppose if I'll take the example, then see my model building, I am writing some construct like tangibility, responsiveness of a participant, or maybe the empathy level of the participant, then the convenience. If all these are good, then it will lead to the what is called good customer service quality. If you are having good service quality, then the customers are satisfied. If customers are satisfied, then they will not switch over. They become loyal to my brand. Clear? So what is this? This is some model I'm trying to predict here. If I'm saying this all it is dependent, this everything are good, then my service quality is good. So service quality here, it is dependent on this variable. But when I'm trying to relate the service quality with the customer satisfaction here, so here customer satisfaction, it is dependent variable, and service quality becoming the independent variable. So if you have this kind of a relationship, then you can go for AMOS. It is for model building. I hope I have given answer to that.
Yes, madam. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Okay, now I was talking about the second thing, Google Form. This Excel format is visible? Excel file?
Yeah, it is, ma'am.
Okay, so now this Excel file which you see right now on the screen, it is nothing but it is the data collected using the Google form. So when you are collecting the data using Google form, you are getting responses like this. Yeah. So one thing I have taught you in the handshake with the SPS is that whenever you are doing the SPSS entry, there must be numeric code. Clear? Except name and address, everything must be in number. But if you see here, the entire screen, जो भी दिख रहा है आपको screen के सामने, वो सारी चीजें वो तो alphabets में है. Clear? So before importing this data to your SPSS, you have to polish this data. You have to make this data SPSS ready data. How to do that? So as a researcher, you know that these are the responses, and first, before importing that data, you convert your data, this alphabets into numeric. How? As a researcher, you know that everywhere you have defined number 1 for yes and 2 number for no. So you can select Control C, Control F, and you can replace them. Find out what yes. अगर आपने 1 रखा है तो 1, 2 रखा है तो 2. Yeah, replace all. So 343 replacements done. No, Control C, Control F, replace, and 2. 358 replacement done. So if you see earlier, this particular portion, the right hand side, it was all alphabets were there. Now I converted these responses into numeric. Similarly, entire file you have to do like this. So I have gender and categories, 2 category, male and female. So if I want to do change like this, then first kisko change karna hai, replace male ko female. Which one I will do first? Which I'll do first?
Male?
If you are doing male, then what is the error that you are getting? Just let us check. Control C, Control F, replace. And male candidate I have defined as 1. So see, replace to ho gaya, but what happens? Let's see at downside. Even female are replaced with the FE1.
Oh.
Clear? So when you are doing replacement, some logic you have to see that when I'm writing female, male it is already included. So first I have to do female and later on I have to do male. And if it is like this, though, बहुत सारे smart student ऐसा भी करते हैं कि madam, why not to replace FE1 like this? So Control C, Control F, and then they are replacing FE1 and then they are replacing 2. That is possible. Clear? That is also possible, but then it is logical, it is incorrect. So this kind of a thing occurs when you have a lot of things. Like if you see the question like very important, important, least important, less important, then kisko pehle change karna hai. So some little bit logic you have to apply. So if you see the control, neutral ko change karte hai, Control C, Control F, and I know it is always a third position of neutral. So then it is 3, replace all, 250. Yeah. Similarly, I have a category like private employee, Control C, Control F. I am doing little bit fast. Private employee I have defined as 1, replace them. Okay, 15 replacement done. The businessman, that is a second category, select them and make them 2, Control C. Because as a researcher, you know what category you had made them, what label you have given. Clear? Done. These professional, it is a third category. Done. And the last category I have, it is government employee, fourth category. So likewise, you have to replace everyone. All alphabets you have to replace. See, the right hand side had one replacement, the left hand side also replacement is done. In between, you have to apply. Like very important, it is defined as the 4, 3, So that logic male female wala, that logic that I had applied, you apply and then make the whole file as SPSS ready file. So whenever you are getting the responses using your Google form, before converting, before copying or before importing that file to SPSS, you have to make that file SPSS ready file and then only you can do. Otherwise वहां जाके बहुत सारी missing value आएगी, blank spaces आ जाएंगे and it will be very difficult for us to remove them. So before importing data collected using the Google form, do like this. So this is called SPSS ready file. You have to make certain changes and then you can import. Okay. Fine. Sure. Fine. Okay. Now again go back to our SPSS. Okay. So now you have file and you want to import that file. Suppose let me open one more file. So this file, demo file, it is now have open, and if you see the responses, if you see I'm doing, it is more than 6,000. It is more than 6,000 responses. See the last entry. Just 6401, the first it is for the title. So 6,400 data entry I have in my Excel file. Clear? Now you want to import this file to SPSS. So if you want to import that file to SPSS, you have to open one blank SPSS file. And the file which you want to import, that must be closed. Clear? Okay. Go to file, open, go to file, open, data. Now it is asking the path, that file which you want to import, it is stored where? So I think it is on my desktop and the workshop Momta file, it is there. So demo file, that location I have identified, I want to open that. You want to open the entire file? Yes. Wait for a second. See, the variable view earlier, it was blank. It was a blank SPSS file, but now if you see that data is also entered, if you see that all 6,400 data, it is entered. Clear? And if you see the variable view earlier, it was blank, but now it is everything, it is added here. So only thing you have to there is you have labels are already here. You have to define the subcategory, because as a researcher, you know what is the marital status of what is one defined as. So then here you have to define one as married. This small exercise you have to do, and two as unmarried. And if it is a third divorcee or separated and this kind of a variable subcategories you are having, then you can always go for that. Clear? So before importing the data to SPSS window, first you have to make Excel file SPSS ready file. And after that, you can import that. After importing the things, you have to do the small thing. You need to define the value labels. So value labels is nothing but the category. So the software is not knowing what categories you have defined. Now someone can define male as 0 and female as 1. Someone can define 1 and 2. So the file where you have done this responses, that computer, that laptop is not knowing your categories. So you have to define your value labels again. So what is your subcategory titles? That title you have to define. So this way, data collection, data entry, everything become easy. You just have to work on the analyze function. Right? One more. So now one more file had opened, and that is the DVD player file. Now if you see variable called age, यहाँ से देख के पता चल रहा है, if you see the measurement scale for variable called age, it is scale data. Clear? And if you see the data view, it is also scale. That means while collecting the information, age, it is asked in this format. This format. Clear? This was the format asked is. But now later on, your guide, your supervisor is saying that you have to go for a categorical data because you need to perform chi-square. I have already told you when you have collected the data in scale format, you cannot do chi-square. But now your supervisor is insisting that you have to compulsorily do chi-square analytics because this is the important thing. You can correlate association between the variable you want to find it out. So how to do it? You have already collected this way. So whenever you are going for a designing of the question, always go for an interval and ratio scale. Do not use nominal and ordinal. And the reason being that here, if you have data like this, suppose you have collected data in this format and I'm taking here greater than 45. Will you able to know my exact age? If I have taken the third category, will you able to fill this gap? Can you know my exact age if I have taken on the category 3? Is it possible?
No.
No, it is not possible. That means if you have data in nominal and ordinal, and if you want to convert that data into interval and ratio, it is impossible. It is impossible. And that's why I'm saying that whenever you are designing your questionnaire, always go for ratio and interval. Yeah. So now you have collected data, age, it is in this format. Now you want to make it into different categories. So see, see the variable view. I have 8 questions. I want to convert the age into categorical question, how I can do. So the first mistake that all research scholars they are doing, once their data file is ready, they directly go for analyze function. Don't do that. Don't do that. Before doing that, you have to clean your data. Always take the help of the transform function. Always take the help of the transform function. Somebody was saying me about MOS. MOS, it is inbuilt here. See, IBM SPS as MOS. Transform. Okay. Now you want to transform this age from a ratio scale to various category. How to do that? Go to transform. Use visual binding. You want to convert the age variable into categories. Continue. Decide the new variable that my see here age new ऐसे करके कोई variable नहीं है. I'm adding age underscore new. Clear? Now your minimum age of this responses that you have collected, it is 18 and maximum it is 63. It is displayed. यहाँ पर दिख रहा है. मैंने याद नहीं किया. It is there. Clear? Now if I start making the classes from 15 also, yeah, I can make 15 can be the first interval of my classes. I can do that. Now the next question I want to ask to you all is, oh, just a minute. I have to do it again. But before that, if I have a chalk and if the chalk stick, if I breaking 3 times, how many pieces I will get? If you break the chalk sticks 3 times, how many pieces you will get? 3 or 4? It is daytime now.
Its answer, Atul has given 4.
So it is 4.
Yeah. Another one also.
If you it 3 times that time, the total number of pieces you will get in your hand, it is 4. The same logic goes here also with the visual binding. I am creating this variable called age new. Clear? Now, how many cut points you want? So if I, my first location I have to give from where I want to start making classes, 15, it is the boundary that I have decided. How many cut points? If I select 3, that means this laptop or this software will make 4 classes. अभी मैंने समझाया चॉपस्टिक को अगर आप ब्रेक कर रहे हो 4 times, you will get 4 classes. Similarly, if you use the 3 cut points, that means the software will prepare the 4 classes. So I'm using 3. Automatically, computer is taking the width of 716. Do it. Now, what kind of a classes the software is going to make? If you want to see that, then click on make labels. So this here it is reflected. My first class will be less than 15. Second, it is 16 to 31. Next, it is 32 to 47. And last class, it is more than 48. Click OK. Okay, the function, that command, it is executed. And if you see the 8th, 9th call row, one more variable it is created, and that is age new. And here if you see in data view, the entry is done. So मैं खाली इसको drag करके यहाँ ला रही हूँ. एज के बाजू में ला देती हूँ. क्लियर. सो पर्सन जिसका एज 26 है, ही इज इनटू द सेकंड कैटेगरी. जो हमारा कंप्यूटर ने कैटेगरीज बनाया है, सॉफ्टवेयर में जो बनाया है कैटेगरीज. एज जिसका 50 है, ही इज इन फोर्थ कैटेगरी. Person having age 41, he is in third category. So now you had originally asked question in ratio format, but if you want to check these different categories, then different categories are there. So what are that categories? See, the categories are reflected here. So whatever the question you had asked in the ratio format, later on if there is a need, you want to convert into category, that is possible. And that's why I'm saying that always go for ratio and scale question. Done? Fine. One more thing we are doing. If you go with the, suppose the last function price, and price, if you see, it is recorded on the 10 Likert scale, 1 to 10. Okay. So now 1 to 10 Likert scale, the already responses you have collected. Here your responses are already like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. This is the interval scale. Later on, you want that price high, medium, low है, ऐसा आपको पूछना है, convert करना है. Now how to do it? You can always do. So you can do 1 to 4 as 1, 5 to 6 you can mark as 2, 7 to 10 you can redefine as 3, where 1 you can define as a low price, 2 you can define as medium, and 3 you can define as high. Look, so this thing you can do it. How to do it in the help with the help of SPSS? Go to transform. There are 2 functions: record into same variable, record into different variable. If you use record into same variable, your original responses will be superimposed on this. So never go for that. Always go for a record into different variable. So your original question will remain intact, and the new question will be generated responses. Fine. I want to do with the price. Drag that variable here. Name them variables. Price new. Label I can give the price. Change. Okay. Now system is asking what values you want to return. 1 to 4 responses which I have collected. Now I want to make it as to 1. Add. So in the window, it is reflected. See, 1 to 4, it is 1. 5 to 6 responses that we have collected, I want this software to make it as 2. So it is reflected in the near window. 7 to 10, the responses which I have already collected. Now I want the software to make it as 3. Do it. Add. So now the responses are recorded in the adjoining window. Continue. Okay. And if you check this, the one more variable it is created. See, price new variable it is created. As a respondent, what is your job? You have to define here. 1 is equal to low price. 2 is equal to medium. And 3 is equal to high price. Add. Okay. And if you see the responses now, one more variable it is created, and I am dragging that variable and वापस यहाँ ले आते हैं price के बाजू. Clear? And if you see this, जिसने भी 9 responses दिया है, that is high price. Clear? जिसने 4 किया है response, it is low price. So interval data can be converted into ordinal. Your ratio data can be converted into nominal. So that facility is always there. Okay. Now, one more last file I'll open. I think Sangeeta madam has already joined. हर बार मैं उनका थोड़ा टाइम ले लेती हूँ. I'll finish within 10 minutes, madam. No. See, this is the data collected, and if you want to calculate the descriptive statistics out of that, how to do it. So अभी मैंने जितना भी सारा सिखाया, that all comes under descriptive only. Now, first thing, once your SPSS file is ready for analysis, then पहला काम करना है, आपको frequency table बना देना है. Descriptive statistics use frequencies, and all categorical data can be selected.
मंडे आटा दे.
It is defined.
तेरे सोचने से कुछ नहीं होता है. नहीं होता है.
Who has? Excuse me. Please unmute. Please mute yourself.
Second and third.
Once.
About my preciousness. नहीं मेरे को कुछ.
Oh, so sorry about it, ma'am.
See, the first you have to remove this frequency, missing frequency. Yeah. So in marital status, there are 2 responses not given. In age, there are 3 responses. So first you have to recorrect the file. This is called editing. So whatever the question number is there, you have to call that person. This is non-response. Total, I have 10,028 responses. Out of that, 1,026 respondents has given answer. 1028. So that means 2 people, they have not given the response. So first of all, you have to call them and you have to ask their marital status. And if they are willing to give, enter data here. If they are not giving, delete that data. Delete that data. But you cannot make the analysis with the missing value. Okay? Now, these frequency distributions are generated. So here in the missing frequencies, that first you have to remove the missing frequency. If missing frequency is not there, then kya karna hai? For writing any research paper or any thesis, your thing is you are writing like this. How to define descriptive statistics in that? We are writing question. So first it is question. After that question, the second we are writing the frequency tables. Third thing we are writing, it is graph, or we are preparing the graphical representation. Fourth, we are checking the normality if it is the scale question, and last it is interpretation. Clear? This is the common format of displaying the descriptive statistics. So first write down your question. What is the gender? So now I have this gender question here. Control C, paste this in the Excel and prepare the chart. This is the one way. Clear? If you want to do. If you do not want to do like this, then you can again prepare the chart, go to analyze. Go to analyze, descriptive statistics, click on frequency, reset that. I just want to prepare a chart for gender. Chart का option पूछ रहा है, pie chart. Continue. Okay. See, the chart it is prepared. So frequency distributions are generated, ready-made graphical distribution, it is there. But I'll suggest that do not go for SPSS output for graphical representation. Always copy the frequency distribution, paste it in the Excel file and prepare the chart there, because SPSS is not having that 3D effect. So for having that good look, you should go for a Excel file, because 3D effect, it is there in the Excel and not in the SPSS. So this way you can prepare your descriptive statistics also. If you want to make any calculation, everything it is there in the window or the function called analyze. How to prepare frequency distribution, that is top. How to prepare chart. Calculations. Yeah. What is under frequency? Go to analyze, descriptive statistics, under descriptive, Options you have to take. क्या calculate करना है आपको? Clear? Mean, median, mode. So this way, kurtosis, skewness, whatever the thing you want to calculate, you can take and you get the answer. So today we have completed how to perform a descriptive statistics using SPSS. In the first portion, I have completed handshake with the SPSS. And later on, we have done that, how to convert the that is interval and ratio into ordinal nominal. The next session I have, it is on 18th. That time we will do inferential statistics, like combining these two questions. You can perform chi-square. If you want to perform ANOVA, it is what are the combinations that will be done next session. And I will share the file also if you want to do along with me. So if you any question, session, any question, participant? Now I can read your chat. Let me close all windows. If I stop sharing.
Anybody has questions, you can unmute yourself and ask Madam directly.
जैसे मैडम सबको चाय भेजना पड़ेगा लगता है और इसका
मैम हाउ आर यू?
हाँ मैम, हाउ आर यू?
आपके सेशन के बाद चाय की जरूरत नहीं होती है।
नहीं होती है।
Ma'am, I think there were 3 questions which during the session you answered, right?
हाँ.
Yeah. So right now, yeah,
No.
I don't see any questions. Yeah. So I think I will. I don't see Preeti ma'am. So
shall I
I'll.
drop from
Yes,
the
Jayashree ma'am, I'm very much here. Mamta ma'am, actually चाय नहीं लगती. You give so much that थोड़ा सा you know हिल जाते हैं लोग. That how will I process all that data?
वही बोल रही हूँ ना, मैम के सेशन के बाद में चाय की जरूरत नहीं होती है, लोग बिल्कुल engross हो जाते हैं.
Yeah, so much is there to process after your session that we actually sometimes get into frenzy. Thank you so much, Jayashree ma'am. You can just put your complete together.
Yeah. Thank you, Preeti ma'am.
Thank you, Preeti madam, Jayashree madam, and
Yeah.
for this giving wonderful opportunity. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am, for such an informative session. It is like, I think so, it's I don't know, the whole day, I think today will be with these things only. That's the foundation which you have given today. I think we'll be prepared for your next session with this. I'm sure all of us have benefited immensely by this insightful session. I thank you once again on behalf of everyone, and we look forward to your next session on, I think it's on 18th. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Good day, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mamta ma'am, on behalf of Grand Academic Portal for again giving your valuable time and enriching our participants. Jayashree ma'am, thank you for the moderation.
Thank you.
Do we have Kshitija ma'am for the next session? Kshitija?
Hello,
Yes. Please
am I
continue.
audible?
We can
Hello?
hear you. Yes, please continue.
Okay. Can you give me, ma'am, 1 minute? Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, Kshitija ma'am, continue, please.
Okay. Yes, very good evening, everyone. Thanks, GAP and MD College for giving us such a nice opportunity to introduce such a great speaker of today's session, Dr. Sangeeta Johari, Pro Vice Chancellor, Rabindranath Tagore University, Bhopal, Dean, Faculty of Humanities and Liberal Arts, and IQSC Coordinator, Chairperson, Cultural Committee, Rabindranath Tagore University, Bhopal. She has 17 years experience in teaching and research. She is certified trainer at CRIPS Bhopal, as well as Certified Career Counselor by IISCHS Bangalore. She has completed her PhD in economics from BU Bhopal. She has received certificate in training of trainer course offered by online NPTEL SWAYAM portal. Well versed with statistical software knowledge and conducting workshop on research and statistics in institutions across India. She has been honored Utkrishta Shikshak Samman from Madhya Pradesh Private University Regulatory Commission Bhopal. She received Best Teacher Award by AISECT Limited Bhopal and Innovative Trainer Award by ISTD Bhopal chapter. 35 plus publications and 2 co-authored books she has written, as well as she is Vice President of Grand Academic Portal. She has supervised many PhD students in her
Kshitija, she is the
She has a-
president. Kshitija, she is the president of Grand Academic
करना भूल गई
Portal.
इसलिए उसने वाइस प्रेसिडेंट बोल दिया
Yeah, it is an honor to
sorry.
have our president with us today.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
I think I can
okay,
start,
thank you.
Kshitija, if you can permit me. Can I start this?
Yes, little thing. I would like to share one quote, ma'am, because your biodata is such a huge, so I couldn't stop myself. So let me complete that. You have uploaded many technical videos on YouTube related to research, and we are, we are lucky to have these videos on the YouTube channels. We watch these videos to enhance our knowledge on research. And I would like to quote Mr. Pele that success is no accident. It is hard work, perseverance, learning, studying, sacrifice, and most of all, love of what you are doing or learning to do. And I think it is appropriate for you. I think I don't know whether I'll reach and complete the goals, whatever you have achieved in your life, but I wish to do all these things in my life. Thank you so much having such a nice and great person today's session. So I would like to request you, ma'am, please start today's session.
Thank you, Kshitija. Thank you for such a nice introduction, and thank you, Preeti ma'am and Jappy sir, for giving this opportunity to me to be on this platform and to interact with young scholars, teachers, maybe some industry people or officials must have joined, because research is not only the academician's monopoly. So that is why I think that, and it's a big platform. GAP is a big platform. So first of all, I extend gratitude to the GAP family and the officials of GAP for providing me this opportunity to be with you all. जैसा कि ममता मैम ने कहा ही था कि it's tea time, so I hope you must have taken your tea, or maybe you will be taking, you must be right now taking your tea because the videos are off, so I cannot see that. Anyways, on a lighter note, because evening time hai, already you have taken a deep, what I can say is a technical session, because descriptive analysis using SPSS is really a technical thing, and especially for those who are maybe from the non-mathematical background, for them it is, I think, little bit difficult sometimes to understand all these things. But however, statistics is an integral part of our research, and the way Mamta ma'am express it, that's wonderful. I always admire her, and I always love to attend her session. Though I am also into this, but still I learn a lot of things from ma'am. Now, most importantly, today the session was placed like first was mine and then was Mamta ma'am's, but now it is reversed. So ma'am have already explained you descriptive analysis, and I think if I'm not wrong in schedule, it is mentioned that she will be explaining you inferential statistics and the tools which we are using in inferential statistics. But before that, it is very, very important when Preeti ma'am was asking me that what session you will be taking. So I think that the most important session, which also can be arranged, or which we have arranged in this RM workshop, is the objective questions and research hypothesis. Now, before I proceed, because my session will be on a very introductory level, keeping in mind that this particular RM workshop, research methodology workshop, is mainly for those who are just initiating their journey in the research and those who are the research scholars. I'll be using both the languages in between, because some people may be comfortable with Hindi language. So can I proceed with both the languages, English and Hindi as well? Will it be fine to participants? And I want to make this session more interactive, because see, The difference between the seminar and workshop is that only. If you were interacting with me, then it is also indicating your presence with me, that you are there and you are listening me. Because face to face, when we do, we can read the gestures, we can see, we can feel how you're feeling. Maybe आपको अच्छा लग रहा है, नहीं अच्छा लग रहा है, समझ आ रहा है, नहीं आ रहा है. But online में सारी liberties हैं. So physically, I cannot, even I'm not aware that those who are here are really here or not. So just to acknowledge that, in between I'll ask certain questions also, and parallelly I will be sharing my presentation with you all. But before that, I would like to ask one question to the participants, that how many of you are research scholars here? Please put in chat box, or you can raise your hand as well. How many of you in this group who are attending this is research scholars? Mainly. Because those who are academicians or the guides, they are pretty much aware about this research hypothesis and objectives and how to frame. But those who are research scholars, those who are beginning their journey, they need to understand it more, because they are going to start their journey, or they must have started their journey. So they must be in between. So again, I repeat my question. How many of you are research scholars or pursuing your research just as a fresher? So you can put it in chat box, please. Okay, so fine. So only 2, 3, 4, I think I have seen so far. Maybe you else further. So keeping this assumption in my mind, it's a hypothesis we always take. This is keeping this assumption in my mind, or assuming this, that majority of the participants, excluding me here on the panel, it is 65 on the board. Sorry, it is 65. If I exclude myself, it is 65. So 65 out of 65, I believe that 50% or maybe the 40% of the research of this participant belongs to the research scholar category. Don't know the stage of your research, like maybe you must have started right now, or maybe you will be you are in such a you are in a stage wherein you have cleared your proposal, or maybe you are preparing your thesis, whatever. So for that, it is very, very important to all of you to understand the three major things, that is research objectives, research questions, and research hypothesis. Now, there are certain studies wherein the hypothesis is not required. But is there any harm that if you understand the concept? आपको जब आप रिसर्च पढ़ते हैं, जब आप शोध के बारे में जानते हैं, so it is very, very important for all the researchers to understand and to know all the facts and figures, all the facts and concepts involved in research. No matter you are using it or not, no matter you are applying it or not, but as a beginner, you should know each and everything. And that is why it is very, very important for the research scholars specifically, and also those who are guiding, to know the fundamental meaning of the research hypothesis and how do we formulate it. In my research journey, I have seen many scholars who always struggle about formulation of research hypothesis. And when they propose their, you can say, synopsis, when they present their synopsis, or when they are framing, and when they are doing preparation of their synopsis, then that time they get confused, or they are not clear कि मुझे क्या लिखना है, क्या नहीं लिखना है. Also, sometimes it is very difficult to understand that how many numbers of hypotheses I can have. So I can quote here two examples. One example wherein, like recently, I have seen one examiner was there, and he was criticizing this, that why you have taken 6, 7 null and alternate hypothesis, like 6 null and 6 alternate hypothesis. I'll explain you what is that, but I'm just quoting an example. And on the other side, if you see certain universities, they are having maybe 40, 50, 80 hypothesis. So exactly what is the optimum size of hypothesis, like how many number of hypotheses we can take, how we decide that, how we frame the hypothesis, that's the part of my today's session. If you take a single takeaway from my session, that how to initiate the formulation of research hypothesis, I believe that this particular session will be helpful for you all, those who don't know about it. Now, and we all learn about the hypothesis in our statistical contain when we read statistics in our like maybe it's MBA, BBA, or wherever. In MA also and BA also, statistics elementary paper is there. In some courses it may not be there. And when we when we go through the research methodology, in that also, when we study the research process, because I have seen all the presentations which other presenters or other speakers have shared with you so far. So I have seen that you have gone through the research process. What are the steps of research process? Then research design was also explained to you by one of our speaker, eminent speaker. And today, madam have explained you about how to analyze the data using descriptive analysis. So in all, I found one thing, that what is actually is like also you require to know is that research objective, how we frame research objective, how we frame research questions, and how we frame hypothesis based on my objective and research question. That is the main point wherein which actually gives you the direction to proceed with your research. Now you may ask a question to me, maybe, or maybe it is wandering in your mind, that do I need hypothesis always? See, usually no research is without any assumption. When I do research, we have to have some assumption. Do you agree with me or not? I cannot blindly go for anything. अगर हम कुछ भी काम, कोई भी research को proceed भी कर रहे हैं, शुरू भी कर रहे हैं, start भी कर रहे हैं, so we hypothesize, we assume something in our mind. Don't we do that?
Yeah.
More or less,
Yes,
we do it, because until and unless it is going, we are going for some explorations, or we are going for some historical research, or we are going for propound something new. Even if I want to do something new, even if with the help of my research, मुझे कुछ नया निकालना है, तो उसके लिए मेरे पास कुछ तो बेस होना चाहिए, कुछ तो एक फंडामेंटल आइडिया मेरे पास होगा. Then only I will be able, or like you will be able to proceed. So that is why hypothesis is inevitable. It is there. Testing of hypothesis is required or not, that is the question. So first, an important thing, all the scholars, all the participants have to understand, because when you open Kothari book, when you open any book, they give you a chapter, they give you research hypothesis, then there are two hypotheses, null hypothesis, alternate hypothesis, and then testing. So we take this in our mind that hypothesis दो तरह के होते हैं, null hypothesis, alternate hypothesis. तो इसलिए इस पहले तो इस thought से आपको बाहर आना है, and you have to fundamentally understand the meaning of hypothesis. Now, ma'am, I'm sharing my screen, and you please confirm that whether it is visible. In between, if you people have any query, I request you don't wait for the last minute. You can put that query into the chat box, and when the session will be over, the moderator can help me to know that question, and I'll be happy to answer you. Okay, is it clear? And
okay, ma'am.
In between, मैं पूछती भी रहूंगी कि am I audible, or are you listening me? Just to awake you.
Yes, sure, ma'am. You can ask.
Sure.
I'm here.
You are here. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, is my screen is visible, ma'am?
Yes, it is visible, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, yes.
Thank you, sir. So today I'll also help you to very, very simple language. I'll explain you how we frame the research objectives. Now, I'll tell you why I'm starting with this basic point, that because sometimes when we read a lot many higher things, then we miss the basic point. And as I said in the beginning of my session, that I'm assuming this session is mainly dedicated to those who are starting their research journey, and also to brush up the knowledge of those who are already having like a lot of enormous knowledge about the research, and they are just here to maybe de-brush their knowledge, or maybe just to refresh their knowledge. So my first focus, as I'm saying, my assumption, or my you can say base of this session is that maybe those who are starting their things, they are not pretty much clear about certain points, and out of which the most important is research objectives. Now you may think that mera session to hypothesis par tha, then why I'm going for the objectives? See, that is the point. If I am not able to frame my objective, they're interrelated. As I said that, first of all, I hypothesize something in my mind. Like for an example, I may hypothesize this time that online teaching have hampered the development of a child, or maybe online teaching is not good for the overall development of child. So this is just maybe a thought process, or this is just merely my assumption which is coming in my mind. If randomly I go to someone and I'll say, okay, this is not good, online teaching is not good, So then nobody will agree on my statement. They will say, okay, it may be your thought, it may be your assumption, it may be your view. Somebody else may have some different view. So that is why it is very, very important that whenever I hypothesize something, whenever I think something, then I have to justify, I have to substantiate that with the help of my research. And that is the first foremost outcome of any research, that whatever you claim, you have to give the justification for the same. I'm not saying that you have to prove it, but you have to give the justification for the statement or for the thought or for any kind of, you can say, query you want to have within your discipline or in your specific domain. So for that, the first thing is your research objectives. Many of the guides who are sitting with me here, the eminent guides or the faculty members, must be agree with me that whenever we present a research paper, or we go to any conference, or we present our research proposal or synopsis, whatever, or maybe we are going for any project proposal, the first thing is being looked after, is being mainly observed, is the our objectives. Why you want to go for a particular thing? Am I right? Are you agree with me? Objectives. What is your objective? Every time the examiner asks you, what is your objective? They ask you why you are going for it. आपके objectives क्या हैं? Have you framed your objectives? Even in research paper, if you are writing, the objectives has to be there. If it is not, then definitely the reader will not be able to get that what you want to identify, or what you want to actually do, because that is the main thing. Why you are writing? Why am I writing a research paper? For an example, right now I am developing a paper on the conceptual paper on NEP, National Education, New Education Policy in Higher Education, the challenges and prospects. That's the new paper I am writing presently. So why I am writing this paper? What is the fundamental objective of writing this paper? Because I want to pinpoint the pointers of the NEP. I want that the teacher should read that. And I also want that whatever is in my mind as a prospects and challenges of NEP, it should go to the masses. Obviously, if I'm not giving any evidence and any you can say support of the data, then it is merely maybe my thought, or maybe the other data which I'm covering. But if I'm doing it with the help of primary analysis, then I can have some hypothesis into it, and further I can make it an empirical paper on it. So right now I'm saying that I will be making a conceptual paper. So that's the thought which came into my mind, and I converted that thought into the objective. So that is why objective is very, very important before going for the hypothesis framing. And this is the fundamental missing I found in majority of the synopsis, majority of the thesis, wherein the researcher is unable to relate the objective with the hypothesis. And that is why there is a gap. So if you are able to do so, your half of the work is being done, because if your problem is clear, then you can aim to the solution of that problem. So this is the basic thing which I will be covering in my presentation today. Now, basically, what are research objectives? Things to remember while framing research objectives. And I have given some examples of research questions and objectives from my own research work, because I'm guiding some scholars, so I've covered that in my slides. Now, it's a very simple thing. As I explained you right now, it's a statement which is to be framed by a researcher to achieve the research aim, or to answer the research questions raised by the researcher. Now, another tentative question I'm giving to the research scholars, that when you present a paper, or when you go for your proposal submission or proposal presentation, every time the examiner asks you, okay, what are your research questions? What questions are wandering in your mind which you want to answer with the help of your research? So that is why we always say that objective is a statement. It's a positive statement. It's never ever in question mark. It's a statement which is framed by the researcher, wherein the researcher thinks that, okay, now these are my questions, and I'll frame objectives based on my research question. So this is universal for all the disciplines, may it be English, Hindi, or Sanskrit, or whosoever, because everywhere the questions are to be there. Research questions तो mainly होते ही होते हैं, उसी के बेस पे आप research objectives point करते हैं. It gives a direction to the researchers to carry the research journey. When I am clear with my objectives, this is a very simple example. Also in our life, when I am clear with my objectives, when your children is clear with his or her objective, then moving on that, that particular direction, or the direction is clear where to move. And if your purpose or objective is not clear, then your things get haphazard. Similarly, if in research your objectives are not clear, crystal, pinpointed, then you are not able to define that before the panel. You are not able to define that before the any forum wherein you are presenting your things, and you are not able to jot down the things. You are not able to write down your thesis because you don't know mujhe kya likhna hai, and it becomes a very ambiguous situation, and it becomes very complicated situation. Sorry, not ambiguous, complicated situation for the researcher to go for the same. So that is why objectives gives you the direction. It limits the thoughts of the researcher. Now it is very important. As a beginner, I don't know if you agree with my this statement. Research scholars, please do write agree. As a researcher, in the beginning, we think we can do number of things, plenty of things I can do. I can do this also, I can do that also. Usually very, very enthusiastically, they write, I will do research at the level of in India. Okay, now they don't know how long it will take to go for the level at the Indian level or the national and the international level. But initially, when you start your research journey, you become over enthusiastic and you have a lot of thoughts. And when somebody asks you to pinpoint those thoughts, to zero down those thoughts and write down the objectives, initially it's very difficult to do that which I also faced in my research journey. So it is practical. When my guide asked me to write the research objectives, honestly it took me 3 months to pen down my objectives, and I just had 4 objectives in my research thesis. Now here one more question comes in, that how many number of objectives should be there? Because one objective maybe need a lot of research to complete that objective. So that is why number of objectives is also a very important thing to understand, that how many objectives you are taking. And that is why it is, yes, the constraint need to be taken care and practical approach is necessary. Very true, Atulji. And that is why I'm saying that whenever you are doing the research, you have to limit your thought process. Initially, it goes like in haywire, and it should be, because you have to funnel it down. I always say that research is like funnel. When I am in the beginning stage, I am at the top of the funnel, and the moment I study the things, I do the literature review. I here means the researcher. I am here representing all of you, researcher. I read the things, I identify the variables, and I identify the areas. Then eventually I go down, and it becomes you can say that my research is getting narrowed down, and that is why it is a funnel shaped approach we are following in the research. So that is why it is very important to limit the thoughts and to help to achieve the desired goal set by the researcher. Now, here I'm not saying that you have to be very narrow in your approach, but also here you cannot be very broad in your approach. So that is why the objectives help you to define your thoughts and to zero down your thought process. It is a foundation over which the entire research lay upon, as it's very clear from the statement. So I'm not going to explain this particular thing. Now, when I'm talking about that, when I'm framing this, just a minute. Ma'am, is it visible? The screen is visible?
Yes, ma'am, it is visible.
So, very, very simple thing, elementary thing, things to remember while framing research objectives. Now, each and every research objective should be clear and specific, which I already explained you. And it should start with a verb. Now, you may think that I'm telling you a very elementary thing, but sorry to say, recent times, excluding maybe some people or some maybe masses are actually not able to write the proper objectives. And the point is not that they don't know. The point is that they don't know the precise thing. And these are very small things that people assume it, that you know it. Because you are the researcher, you are the teacher. Obviously, all the teachers and more or less these days, the industry officials are also going for the PhD degrees, or they're writing their papers. So it is an art. It is an art. So that is why those who don't know it, they should know it, that how we write objectives. So objectives preferably should start with a verb. I'll give you an example, then it will be further more clear with you. Objectives must reflect the problem statement or research questions covered in the theoretical framework. Now, in literature review, when we do the literature review, we actually identify or we create a theoretical framework. That is very, very important. Conceptual framework, theoretical framework, which actually depicting the relationship between various variables which you will study in your research. And majority of this place is maybe, I think the social science students are here and social science teachers may be there. So we all know that we are studying on the variables, we are measuring variables, and madam was also explaining you. We are also covering the demographic variables, then we are also covering a lot of variables in our study. So how the variables are related with each other, how my research is related with the pointers of research are related with each other, that is very, very important part. And objectives should cover that point, and it should be measurable. And it is very, very important, because sometimes when we write a statement, a very vague, so it is very difficult to measure that objective. Like I'll try to understand the FPO structure in India. Now you cannot understand anything. You in research already you have understood that. That's why you are here. So how you will write it? I'll give you an example. After this, objectives should be achievable. As I said earlier also, that whenever I am writing something, whenever I am framing my research objective, I have to see unrealistic, over enthusiastic approach, something which is not measurable. If I'm writing the concept in my objective, then I don't know how I will measure it. So that is very, very difficult part to measure it. So that's why objectives should be achievable. Objectives should be realistic. Again, many of the theses I have gone through, I've seen the objectives are not well defined, and they looks very imaginary. So it should be very realistic, and it should be framed within due consideration of time frame. See, time is very, very important. Whether you are writing a research paper or you are writing your thesis, time frame is very, very important thing to understand. Because agar aapka time frame clear nahi hai, like I'll give you the recent example of one of my known one thesis is that if I'm writing that I'll be collecting, I'll be analyzing the secondary data. The one objective is to evaluate the secondary data of the telecom industry for 10 years. So it is mentioned in my objective. So even if the thesis is being evaluated after 5 years or 4 years, because you know the evaluation take a lot of time and we close our research up to a limit. So in future, if somebody asks you this, that you close your thesis in the year 2019 and now it is for the evaluation, it went in 2021 and your data is looking till your data you have considered in your thesis is till 2018. So that gap, nobody will pinpoint on that, because you have already mentioned in your objective that you are considering the data for 10 years. Is this particular objective point is clear to all of you, those who are listening me? Time frame, if you are mentioning in your objective, especially in case of the data collection, if your objective is directly related to the data analysis of a particular situation, then, and if you are mentioning in your objective, or maybe if you are mentioning it in your limitation, then nobody can claim you in future that you have taken data, why you have taken data up to this period. Recently, I've handled this argument, and I got to know that the scholar mentioned that in the synopsis, so he saved. Otherwise, this question may come, कि आपका data तो 15 तक का है और आपकी thesis तो जा रही है 21 में, 20 में, because you know all the processes and modalities takes time. This is specifically for thesis I'm saying. And even if you are writing a research paper and you are saying that I have taken data from this period to this period, or I will analyze the data, or I will study the data of this particular period, because research you have to limit. See, as a researcher, you have a lot of freedoms to do the things. And I always say that research is sometimes, we always say it is meaningful or it is vague. Nobody can say that your research is wrong and right. But yes, if you are doing comprehensive research, yes, it is meaningful. People appreciate your work. And if it is maybe superficially you are doing it, then we say it is vague. So whatever. So that is why it is very, very important for the scholars to understand that if I'm mentioning the time frame, especially in the case of history or historical studies, if I'm not mentioning the time frame, then definitely it is very difficult for the scholar to defend his or her work. So that is why you have to be very, very smart enough. And in last line, you can see I've mentioned in short, smart objectives to be framed by the researchers. So researcher is very, very like be specific. And if I'm making an objective, if I'm framing objectives, then I say smart objectives. Okay, we all are smart scholars these days. So you have to frame your objectives very smartly. And how you do it with practice. See, I'm telling you, framing of title and framing of objectives. That is very, very important part, because if you frame it very clearly, then you can select your methodology and you can easily frame your hypothesis. My subsequent slide will show you how it is. Now, there are certain examples. As I said that the objective should start with a verb. So these are certain examples. This I have taken from one of the speaker I heard, and this is a reference I'm putting here. He explained actually very nicely, and in research we always put the referencing to avoid any kind of plagiarism. So he very nicely explained in one of the session that when we write exploratory research, we all know a lot of types of research are there. So I'm not here to teach you all the types of research. You are all aware about it. Again, I'm assuming that you are having knowledge of all the types of research. So exploratory research is there, descriptive research is there. So even in exploratory research, if my research is quantitative in nature, if I'm measuring something, so I will write to analyze, to examine, to investigate, to evaluate. Now with this, actually, this is also related to the previous session which you have attended today about, like, if I'm saying, for an example, if I'm saying to investigate, to analyze. So analyze means I'm maybe calculating the scores. I'm maybe making the percentage analysis. I am doing, I'm maybe applying any test, like maybe t-test or something like that. But when I say to evaluate, there also I maybe apply some statistical test, because how you're evaluating it, the examiner or the maybe not the examiner, you should know ना कि मुझे evaluate क्या करना है, मैं क्या evaluate कर रही हूँ, क्या compare कर रहे हैं, क्या examine कर रहे हैं, और examine कैसे कर रहे हैं, करेंगे कैसे आप? If somebody will tell you, you will say, okay, I identified. So what do you have identified? You say, okay, to identify the relationship. So the next question, how you will identify? How you will identify? उसका क्वेश्चन का आंसर फिर आप देंगे अपने मेथोडोलॉजी में, रिसर्च डिजाइन में, जो कि आपको एक दो दिन पहले पढ़ाया गया है. सो दैट इज व्हाई आई एम सेइंग द फ्रेमिंग ऑफ ऑब्जेक्टिव इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, एंड द वर्ड्स यू आर यूजिंग इन योर ऑब्जेक्टिव, the research scholars, dear research scholars, very very important, because the words make a lot of difference. As I said, that to understand, so you're not going to understand. That is why if I'm writing to study, so if I'm study the trends and patterns, I'm saying to study the farmer producer organization culture in Madhya Pradesh, which is one of my research work. That's why I'm quoting there. To study the policies and schemes available for the for maybe XYZ, whatever topic you take. In my case, I can say I'm one of my scholars working in ease of doing business. So I can say to study the schemes and to study the parameters, or to study the you can say policies available for the ease of doing business in Madhya Pradesh or in India, or specifically in Madhya Pradesh. So what I'm doing is I'm pinpointing the area I'm covering, and I'm saying I'm studying, because जब आप study करते हो तो आप उसको describe करते हो, and that's why we say descriptive research is actually describe the things as they are. And also, like, if this is something is there, then I apply the descriptive analysis also there. So that's why when I go for descriptive research, and when I'm taking it, it is quantitative. So I will write to know, to study, to find out, and to describe. So these are certain examples. You may go with some more verbs, but you should be very, very clear. And when I'm saying I'll explore, so I don't know about it. So I focus group discussions. I'll explore the benefits. I will explore the challenges. To explore the challenges of application or implementation of new education policy in India, because so far it has not happened. It is in very initial stage. So I'm just exploring it. Now exploration is very, very you can say is a very big word, and that is why we are categorizing here exploratory research, quantitative and qualitative. So when I'm doing qualitative, I cannot measure directly something, so I will write these kind of words like discover, explore. So it is more in-depth study in comparison to the quantitative. But yes, people are doing it these days now. These days, people are more into the qualitative side. Yes, but still they are also onto the quantitative side, depending. Now, how you decide the nature of your study purely depends upon your subject, your discipline, which you are covering. So in social sciences or maybe in literature, you may go for more of exploration, but these days, hybrid is going on both the ways, how it is being done and why it is there. So these both questions need to be answered in your research. So this is the basic fundamental example I have given you. I hope this will help you to frame your objectives in future. maybe it gives you more deeper understanding which you have presently with you. So now when you go for the next thing, just a minute. So this is the example, and this is the example of my own research work I'm giving here. So the research question, like, because one of my research scholar has worked actually on the luxury brands, because his thought and his mindset was mainly, sorry, his knowledge or his understanding was on the luxury brands, fashion luxury brands. So the question was wandering in his mind, and he discussed with me that is there any difference in the attitude of Indian consumer towards fashion luxury brands. Now, why this question wanders in his mind? Because we have seen recently lot many new brands have intervened in in our country, and we are seeing the shift of the youth towards the luxury brands. And then that was just a thing which he wants to know, that is there any difference in the attitude of Indian consumer towards fashion luxury brands. You know, when big brands comes in India, they always do a comprehensive R&D before entering into the Indian market. So maybe this may also given him the hint, and luxury brands and luxury market is still to explore in Indian context. So that's the question came into his mind. And with the help of the question, the objective is to study Indian consumers' attitude towards fashion luxury brands. Okay. Now another question is from my, so see, just see the relationship between question and the objective. Now the question, obviously, because it is a question, so is there any? And based on my question, I have framed an objective to study Indian consumers' attitude towards fashion luxury brand. Now it doesn't mean that every research question may have objective. Let me clear this thing with you. Maybe you have 3 questions, maybe you have 5 objectives. Maybe you have 2 questions and you have 4 objectives, 3 objectives. So it is not mandatory that every question may have objective. No, it is not mandatory. So it depends on, like, you have maybe the broader question, and from one question you may have 2, 3 objectives, or maybe you have 2 questions and from 2 questions you have 4 objectives. So there is not any standard and thumb rule for this. Don't take anything, this kind of thing in your mind. But this helps you, the question helps you to frame the objective. Am I audible to all of you?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Are you
Audible
in the session? Okay, I hope you all are with me.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay. So now the another question is again from my research work, is that is there any relationship between financial literacy and financial planning? Now again, why it came to our mind? Because we all know, we all assume, because the more you are financially literate, the more you are a good financial planner. It is a general assumption. Do you agree with this? A generalized assumption. A general assumption we always have in our mind that अगर आपको आप financially literate हैं, तो obviously आपका planning बहुत अच्छा होगा. But it is not always right. I'm telling you. It may depend. It may you can say it differ from person to person. But usually we assume and we do it because we are making people financially aware. Because if you are financially aware, then only you will be able to do financial planning. What LIC is actually doing? They are giving a lot of advertisement. जिंदगी के बाद भी, जिंदगी के साथ भी, इस तरीके से बहुत सारे ads आते रहते हैं. Mutual funds are subject to market risk. So what actually all these ads are doing? They are awareing you. They are giving you the awareness about all the investments. And how do you invest? If you know the things, if you know about the financial things, not only the investment options I'm saying comes in financial literacy. Financial literacy as in whole is having a lot of parameters. If you go to the official websites, then you will further explore that what are all the parameters these the government of India, they have defined about financial literacy. It's a big era to research. Those who are from economics or management, they can still explore this. I have done this work on financial literacy and financial planning of 2 regions so far, NCR region and now the one more research in Kashmir, specifically for school and college going students, because that is the point where we have to hit upon. Parallelly, I am also giving you the tips and the inputs to select your research area as well, because the more you take the active research areas, the more you can give better back to the society in terms of your research outcomes. So when you have this question, now see, is there any relationship? So my objective will be to identify the relationship. So one of the objective is to identify the relationship between, not among, between level of financial literacy and financial planning. Now, obviously, financial literacy is a concept. And financial planning is also a concept. So herein we also give you one section on concept and variable. So how do you measure a financial literacy of a person? Now here I'll give a pause and I'll just ask you something. It's a very general thing. So can you give me an idea that if I want to measure a person's literacy level related to the financial part, what all questions or what all points you consider? Can you put that in chat box? थोड़ा बीच में pause भी होगा, थोड़ा सा आप बताएंगे भी कैसे पूछेंगे आप? ये financial behavior is again a very it's a concept. See, you have to understand the difference between concept and variable. So financial literacy का पूछ रही हूँ मैं. अगर आपको ये जानना है कि आपको ये जानना है, मान लीजिए मैं financial literate हूँ या नहीं, तो आप क्या? Yes, one question you may related to insurance, savings, okay, investments, okay, very good. No, financial knowledge is again a concept. It's a construct. See, it's a construct. Construct नहीं पूछ रही हूँ मैं आपसे, variable पूछ रही हूँ. क्या पूछोगे आप उससे? क्या पूछ सकते हो आप उससे? No, not lifestyle. और बताइए, think. Yes, income is as a demographic factor, but what you will judge with the income? Income is nowhere the parameter to measure the literacy. Knowledge about inflation you can ask. Okay, gender is again a demographic factor. Financial planning is a concept. Safety, no, it how like safety nahi. Okay, characteristics of finance. Okay, please, more people can answer. And financial goals you can ask. Okay, expenditures, social security schemes. Okay, very good. More to come. See, if I'm measuring someone's literacy in terms of financial part, definitely I will be asking about, yes, I'll be first of all asking about the knowledge parameter related to the various financial instruments. That is the person is aware about those instruments? Okay, are they into the see, the saving part will come to the financial planning. How much we save, how much you invest, do you invest in shares and bonds and all, or do you invest in maybe securities, or do you invest in FDs? Like that, you may ask certain questions related to the financial planning. And yes, benefits also, policies you can ask about the financial the planning part. Okay, so in literacy, I'm very happy to see the participation of my participants, active participation of my participants. So this is how, see, this is how you open up your mind when you take any concept. And yes, in financial literacy, we have actually checked the knowledge and we have checked the awareness. Okay, knowledge is something different, awareness is something different. So then we ask also the investment part also. So that likewise, we inside of the financial literacy, the further 3 constructs was there, and then the questions were based on those constructs. Yes, tax you pay, yes, but that's the participation in, you can say, in the financial part. But yes, we can ask that how much tax you pay directly. We cannot ask. Are you aware about the tax structure in India? That may be the question you may ask. If you are asking about the financial literacy in terms of the knowledge is concerned. So definitely these kind of questions we ask to measure the financial literacy part and financial planning part, and that's what we have done in our research. So the basic fundamental part, I think, must be clear with my participants so far, that how we frame this. I'm telling you, if you yes, like this we can frame the question. And also you have to see like the scale part, but I'm not getting into it because my job today is to tell you about the hypothesis, questions, and objectives. So I hope this part must be clear in your mind, that how we frame the objective in our research work, and how we connect the question with the objective. And that is why when initially we discussed with our scholars, we should pen down these questions as much as you can. And you tell your research scholars, or you as a research scholars can do this. And don't think that aaj jo question likh diya wo lena hi hai. No, whatever question is coming in your mind, just write down. Just write down. And how the question will come in your mind, I'm telling you, with the help of the literature review. So see, all things are interrelated. That is why this comprehensive research methodology workshop is there, which tells you from where to start and from where, like where to pause or to end. That is why it is a comprehensive research methodology, we always call it, because the beginning you understand the identification, then you understand the literature review, and then you from the review you identify the concepts, you identify the variables, you find out the gaps of the present studies, and that based on that you prepare your own research questions. Okay, and it is not always through the literature review, it may be through with the present system also, because if you see, if you talk about new education policy, we are now many people want to get into, or maybe the digital, you talk about the digital literacy, or maybe there's some new points, you may get some limited research work which has been done into it. So not always it is possible to get a lot of information from the reviews, from the previous research, sorry. But yes, from reviews, because we in review, we cover all the things. We cover the reports, we cover the books, we cover the periodicals, everything we cover. Okay, so from where we get the knowledge, from where we get the inputs, on the basis of that, we frame the things, that is theoretical framework, and then we come to this part, that is objective and question. So if you are crystal clear on that part, this part, you will take lesser time to point it. Fine. Now, when you see, now I have given you one example of incomplete research objectives. Now, here if I'm right, study employee satisfaction of any organization. So it seems it looks very incomplete kind of research objective. So in SMART, how you will identify this SMART? To study the impact / influence. Now you use the majority of words in objective, may be impact, may be fact, may be influence of management practice on employee satisfaction. Because किसका employee satisfaction, किस चीज का employee satisfaction in general कोई मतलब नहीं है. So I am writing here, like the example is telling you to study the influence of management practices, because satisfaction level is must be influenced by some things, na. So from management practices of any organization, industry. So here I'm taking any organization. Now when you take a specific organization, then you pinpoint that name or maybe sector or whatever. Analyze the effectiveness of literacy camps. To analyze the effectiveness of literacy camp on the level of financial awareness of the concerned sample under study. Now this is the wholesome objective, which is telling that what you're going to analyze and on what, like sample under study, because it is an open-ended kind of thing and it is close-ended. So that is why when you write objective, you have to keep everything in your mind and you have to be very, very focused with the words, with the time frame and with everything. And that is why we call it as, we should make our objective as SMART research objectives. Herein, I have given a pause on my first part of the presentation, which talks about the research objectives vis-a-vis with the research questions. Now, the second part is about the research question and hypothesis. Now, as I told you in the beginning that it is not important. There are some misconceptions which are in the research world, which are in the academic world. As I told you that hypothesis is always there. Yes, it is always there, because as I told you, that without assuming anything, I cannot start my research journey. But it is not that, as I claim, so far I know, maybe somebody can oppose me, somebody can tell me that whatever I'm saying is not right. But see, research is giving you the freedom to tell your things, your facts and figures based on certain justification. So research question would set boundaries for the area to be explored and the answer that your research needs to answer. But an hypothesis is a scientific way in which you assume an answer to the research question or its subcomponents and then test the assumption. So that is why I'm saying that if I am taking a scientific study into consideration, yes, hypothesis must be there and testing of hypothesis should also be there. So many times I have seen it is not required that hypothesis testing is there, but log hypothesis testing करने लग जाते हैं और कुछ भी कर देते हैं. So that is why it is very, very important for the research scholars to understand this part, that how much it is required to have the hypothesis in my study and then testing of hypothesis. And how come you will get to know this? Again, go to like square, kaise bolte na, back to square one with the help of your objective. So mapping of RQ, RO and RH is very, very important. I repeat this statement, mapping of RQ, RO and RH is very, very important for a researcher to proceed further in their research journey. And if you are doing it, and it is not always required, as I'm saying, there are some studies which are at exploratory stage, which are like people are going with that. So that way, maybe you are not stating hypothesis in your research papers, but it is acceptable. Big research papers and scopus, it is not always there is not always you can say mandate to pen down that, but you should understand it, and then you will be able to filter it down and identify it, that whether it is really required to pen down or to write hypothesis in my research paper or thesis or not. But usually in management studies, in commerce, in social sciences, we do have hypothesis, and we do hypothesis testing, because the quantitative and qualitative aspect, the mixed aspect of the research actually enhance the quality of the research. So this is a fundamental definition. As research question would set boundaries for the area to be explored, and hypothesis, as I explained, it's a scientific way. Now, what research question exactly do is used to analyze and investigate a topic, and it is written as a question and inquisitive in nature. A properly written question will be clear and concise. It should contain the topic being studied, that is purpose, the variables, and the population. So this is very, very important part. And once you will start doing it, you will be able to understand it more, and you'll be able to explore it more, by the way. Now we talk about the questions. What are the all kind of questions usually are there is causal questions. Now, when I compare two or more phenomena and determine if a relationship exists, so it called relationship research question. Now, even the hypothesis also is the relationship hypothesis, and we know that we make the relational hypothesis. So hypothesis can also be the relational, and hypothesis and question is also here, causal questions. So whenever we compare two or more phenomena and determine if a relationship exists, then it question is called as causal question. You can see an example, it is mentioned here that, like, does the amount of calcium in the diet of elementary school children affect the number of cavities they have per year? Now, likewise, we have a lot of questions, this kind of questions, as I told you that recently studies are going on, the usage of ICT, the usage of social media. So we can relate number of things, and you may also relate your own studies with all these examples if you are able to do so. If you're having pen and paper with you, you can also parallelly think about your study, think about your area, and you can also pen down something like that, because if you are doing it, then only this workshop will be helpful to you. See, kal kabhi nahi aata. Very, very simple language I'm saying. There is no tomorrow. Whatever is there is today. Do you agree with that? So if you are doing it today, let's do it today. If you have started your research exploration, if you have started your review, if you are getting anything from my side today, then you start writing down maybe, okay, about, or even you start thinking and planning in your mind, okay, मुझे क्या लेना होगा, मैं causal question लूंगी क्या या लूंगा क्या, मैं descriptive लूंगा क्या. So likewise, that if you can correlate that with me right now, then only this session is helpful to you. Otherwise, it is law of diminishing marginal utility. The more the days pass, the lesser will be the remembrance of my session in your mind. This is what I have seen in a number of workshops. The time a person delivers the question, you give a lot of good remarks, bad remarks, whatever. By default, you give good remarks, very good, very this. After 6 days, somebody will ask you, okay, have you, do you remember about research questions? अरे वो किसी ने बताया तो था, but आज अभी याद नहीं. So don't do that. See, practical experiences counts, and being into this industry and being delivering a lot of sessions, these are the practical points I'm sharing on this platform. The researchers are listening me, the industry people may be listening me, everybody who are listening me, please, what I'm trying to say, that if you take one point, one thing from a particular session at the end of the day, which is mentioned in that work, in the brochure, you will be able to write your own research paper, and that is the outcome of this workshop. If you're able to do so, that is the feedback for all of us who have delivered this session to you. So whatever studies is going in your mind, or whatever studies you are doing, try to map that with these all sessions which we are giving you. Try to practice that. Try to do that. So that's why it is very clearly mentioned about the causal questions. Then descriptive questions. Seek to describe a phenomena. And obviously in descriptive, we always go about how much, how often, all these kind of things. So how often do college age students use Twitter? As I told you that in recent times, we are doing such kind of research also. Descriptive questions. Comparative questions which aim to examine the difference between two or more groups in relation to one or more variables. Like what is the difference in calorie intake of high school girls and boys? So medical studies maybe are based on these kind of studies, or any kind of other studies if you are doing any comparative analysis into it. So you will be definitely framing the comparative questions. So these are the types of major 3 type of questions which I have mentioned here. The type of research question will influence the research design. Very, very crystal clear. Nothing to explain much about it. How is your question will help you to map your research design, will help you to structure your research design. And if the data is collected, then we will analyze and the conclusions can be made. So this was about the research question. Now, as I stated in the beginning of my, in between my session about the hypothesis, it's a tentative relationship. Now, please put focus on this tentative relationship. It is yet to be proved. Yet to be proved, not proved. Okay, we are just assuming that it may relate. Now, usually we relate IQ with marks. Usually we relate sales with advertisement. Usually we relate because we relate certain things. Am I right? Are you agree with me? As I relate planning and literacy, it may or may not be there. Usually we associate. Usually we associate the brand preferences with some particular thing. So usually we do it, but its validity is unknown. The another point, its validity is unknown. Madam, am I audible clearly?
Yes, ma'am. Very much audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So its validity is unknown, and it's a tentative relationship between 2 or more variables. We all know about it. It is predictive in nature and typically used when significant knowledge already exists on the subject, which allows the prediction to be made. See, I cannot predict anything in haywire. I should have some base on it. As I'm telling you that these days some things are going on in nature. So we are assuming something. We are saying that maybe the pollution is a population, growing population is a reason for this maybe unacceptable climate change. Anything can be related to anything. Okay, as I said that social media is actually distracting the youth. It may be the reason. So when I observe something, when I see something around me, continuously when we see that, we hypothesize something. We assume, we start doing assumptions. We start making suppositions in our mind. Okay, and then we want to identify that. We want to check that. And we predict something. As I hypothesize in my study that stock market do have the relationship with all the macro variables, which is there. So in my case, I actually substantiate the information in my thesis. However, I was supposed to do the modeling for the future, but somehow I couldn't do it. So, but if you are doing it, so people are what doing these days, people are hypothesizing the present situation, and based on the present situation, they are predicting the future. So initially also you are predicting something, and with the help of your testing of hypothesis, आप future में उसको predict करने लगते हो. तो correlation regression जब लगता है, तो आप future predict करके देने लगते हो. So that is why hypothesis is of utmost importance in case of this kind of nature studies, wherein you are based on the present argument or present relationship, you are predicting the future relationship. So that is why it is predictive in nature, and we just check it that significant knowledge exists, and based on that we frame the hypothesis. Merely if you are proving the hypothesis in your research, that is also okay for your PhD purpose. But if you want to go beyond that, then definitely you have to move one step ahead. So hypothesis is basic fundamental point which I have explained you here. It is always written as statement. See, in question, it was like in question form. And that is a fundamental difference between research question and research hypothesis. Hypothesis, I cannot write in question form, and it should be developed before, obviously, because based on the hypothesis, you will collect the relevant data. So if you are framing your hypothesis, that is a part of actually your RD in research design only. You initially start with objective, then you write hypothesis, if any, or then you write the data collection, sampling, and all these parts you cover in your research design. So obviously you write the statement first, and then you proceed with the relevant data collection related to your variables which you are covering for your study purpose. A complete hypothesis, what a complete hypothesis should include. Now, it's a very elementary thing I'm telling you on this platform, because the beginners actually are not aware about this. आपको कोई बोलता है hypothesis बना लो, आप ढूंढते हो, आप गूगल करते हो या आप कहीं से डिस्कस करते हो. फिर जैसा मैंने आपसे कहा कि आप नल एंड अल्टरनेट हाइपोथेसिस तो तब बनता है जब आप स्टैटिस्टिकल टेस्टिंग पे जाते हो. डेफिनेटली जब आप साइंटिफिक स्टडी करोगे तो स्टैटिस्टिकल टेस्टिंग पे जाओगे ही जाओगे. There's no other option for it. So if you're going for it, then before that you have to write a statement now. Then only you will be making null and alternate of that statement. So complete hypothesis, what should it include is variables, population, and the predicted relationship. It's commonly used in quantitative research, but not qualitative, as I said, that because it is having the open-ended question, so I cannot have hypothesis on it. So herein what happened that if you are having this comprehensive understanding of SPSS, testing of hypothesis with the help of SPSS, how to formulate the hypothesis, then for you, the research work will be a little bit easier. That's what I again assume. Okay, I'm not sure about it. Your efforts will prove me that. So now how we formulate the hypothesis. Am I audible? Are you with me, all of you? Further 15 minutes I'll take and then I'll fill you. I will
Yes, ma'am.
more than 2.5 hours, I can understand that now. So I'm trying to be in connect with all the scholars and I hope they must be enjoying my session. Maybe I'm not sure about it. I can just...
Yes, ma'am. It's a very interesting session.
Thank you, ma'am. So formulation of hypothesis, if I talk about, that's basically the formulate the assumption, collect the required data, analyze the data to test the assumption. Now this part, obviously, ma'am will take, Mamta ma'am will take, and she will when she will be talking about the inferential part, the statistical part, inferential statistics, because statistics is again categorized into two broader aspects, descriptive and inferential. So in inferential, there are certain tests which you already must have heard about, but madam will tell you in detail using this software. See, software always help you. Software is always made by a person only. Man-made software. Software is like something is not like which is directly coming from any kind of what do you say is any kind of other planet. It's all the software is made by us only. Okay, so we know how to use it. So if my research is software based, then it is not a research, my dear research scholars. It is just an helping hand to you, which help you to do the things quickly. In comparison, if you're doing it maybe by your own manual ways. Okay. So when I do some calculation, I always say, if I'm doing it with the help of my hand or maybe with the help of a notebook, it will take 15 minutes. But if I use calculator, it may take 5 minutes. Similarly, if I'm going for any kind of software, it helped me to do the things quickly. Yes, precisely. Yes, complexity is there, which is actually being very simpler when I'm going with these softwares. So that is an helping hand to you, but you should know what you want to do, why you want to do, and then it comes how you will do. Okay, clear? So if I'm formulating the hypothesis, I should know that in my which hypothesis will have which test. Then accordingly, I will be using the test, and then accordingly, an inference part is also not being able to give by software. Remember that also you have to infer. Data is there. You are putting down the data into that processor. It is giving you the results, and then you will interpret something from that research, from that result. Sorry. So that is why formulation is very simple. You formulate the assumption. That means you write a statement. Then you write that null and alternate statements. If you're you are going for any particular test, and according to that test, you write the null and alternate, which ma'am will tell you eventually when she will be covering that session. And for that, you will collect the required data and you will analyze the same. So these are very simple, 3 simple steps of formulation of hypothesis, but it seems very simple, but it is little bit critical. I'm not saying tough. I never say nothing is tough in this world if you do it. So it is critical. Yes, it is critical to understand. थोड़ा सा technical होता है, तो समझते समझते समझ में आ जाता है. So if you do it frequently, then you'll be able to understand it. But if you'll do it once in a while and you will miss it, then sorry, you won't be able to do the same. So that's why understanding of this hypothesis is very, very important. Formulate, collect, and analyze. It is relational, as I already explained you in the slide where I was explaining you research question. Hypothesis can be, as I said, relational, directional, descriptive. So these are the references I've taken from Deepak Chawla's book. So as a relational, an increase in students' IQ score causes an increase in their grade. As I said, कि हम लोग कई बार ऐसा assumption बना लेते हैं तो वो जब हम चीजों को रिलेट कर रहे हैं, so it is relational. Simple, I'm saying the literacy rate in Kerala is 100%. Now I have to measure this as well. And directional is where there's a relation between quality of working life and job satisfaction experienced by employee. Just one example. Likewise, you can make your own example, own your hypothesis of your study hypothesis. So this is the kind of hypothesis we formulate, and we formulate number of hypotheses. And based on that number of hypotheses, maybe in one hypothesis you have more than 2 variables also. So we always say between the variable and among the variables. Okay, so it is not like if you are writing one hypothesis in which you are covering 2 to 3 variables, it becomes very complex. So you can write H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, H6, H7. Likewise, you can make number of alternate hypotheses, or HA, HB, HC, HD, HE, and then HA, H0, H1, HB, H0, H1. H0 is null hypothesis. We always say H0, we represent this. I'll just type here because it is not maybe. So H0 in books you must have read, it is null hypothesis. And alternate is always there, because if it is null is there, null means no difference, and H1 means the alternate hypothesis, which is automatically, if null is not there, so alternate will be there. So this is how the statistically when we test the hypothesis, so we frame null and alternate hypothesis. But before that, we write this kind of hypothesis, and then we go to the null and alternate. This is what I have mentioned here also. Now, writing hypothesis. Hypothesis is an assumption, as I already explained, and it is formulated by the researcher to validate the objectives framed for the research work. Writing hypothesis. अभी आप गए, आपने books पढ़ ली, books को read कर लिया, number of books you must have read. Now the question is again, कैसे लिखूं, how to write. You struggle. Those who are beginners, they struggle. I can understand. We were also beginners, and still we are beginners. I never say that research is a big world. Maybe till the time I'll retire, I don't know how much research I know. But so far, whatever I know, it's my duty to deliver you all. Okay. So that is why, as when I'm talking about the writing the research hypothesis, with the help of this example, I hope you will be able to understand. Very simple example I'm trying to give it. See, when I told you about the research study, which is based on the luxury brands, and I showed you the question also. Now, if I want to study maybe the demographic effect, we know that when we talk about the consumer behavior, so it's an example of marketing side. So when we talk about the consumer behavior studies, and the studies related to the consumer behavior, definitely the demographics comes in. ये marketing वालों को ज़्यादा अच्छे से समझ में आ जाएगा, या maybe जो भी लोग management से हैं उन्हें ज़्यादा clearly समझ आएगा. So is there any effect of demographic variables on the social value of fashion luxury brands? This is a question as per the researcher. Now, as I said, that examine the effect of demographic variable on the social value of fashion luxury brands. This is an objective. Now, based on this, I have framed the null and alternate hypothesis, because here I can make a relational or directional hypothesis as well, that higher the you can say the demographic variables is having the effect on social value of fashion luxury brands. Here I have mentioned directly the null and alternate hypothesis, which says that there is no significant difference in the social value of fashion luxury brands based on the gender. Because in demographic, we usually cover age, gender, income, mainly these three, but we may also go for the further education, qualification, depending on the researcher's discretion, how many demographic variables the researcher wants to explore. But if such kind of studies are not complete, if I'm not taking up the demographic variables into consideration, they are very, very important in primary data analysis, and one has to cover these. That is very, very important. So if I'm writing the research hypothesis, very simple, clear-cut example before you is that there is no significant difference in the social value. Now, when it is null, we always write no significant. This significant word is very, very important, which again, the Mamta ma'am will tell you in detail. It is having actually a significant effect in study, because difference हो सकता है, but significant है कि नहीं, यही check करना होता है. आपको कोरोना के समय आपने देखा होगा कि किसी को माइल्ड था, किसी को एक्सट्रीम था, किसी को डिडक्ट ही नहीं हुआ, वो एक एरर, एक अलग चीज है. बट अगर आपको माइल्ड है तो सिग्निफिकेंट नहीं है, मतलब माइल्ड है, इट इज ओके. बट अगर सिग्निफिकेंट कोई चीज होती है तो उसको आप मतलब उस पर आप अटेंशन देते हो. तो सिमिलरली अगर आपके रिजल्ट्स में टेस्ट में सिग्निफिकेंट इफेक्ट आता है तो उस चीज को आप कंसिडर करते हो और उसके बेस पर आप आउटकम्स देते हो, आप फाइंडिंग्स बताते हो कि डिफरेंस है, मतलब उस चीज पर डिफरेंस है, तो इसका मतलब हमें सोशल वैल्यू एक एलिमेंट है जो कंपनीज को कंसिडर करना चाहिए। और जेंडर वाइज डिफरेंस है क्या, मेल फीमेल एक सा सोचते हैं या मेल फीमेल अलग सोचते हैं इस चीज को लेकर, उनका अलग है, वैल्यू सिस्टम में कुछ डिफरेंस है क्या? So that is why this example is there. There is no significant difference based on the gender. You can take the age, you can take the income, any of the demographic which you want. So this is how we write the research hypothesis based on taking this. So this kind of table also you can frame when you will do your research work. It will help you to frame the research hypothesis. Now, this is again another research question that is there any effect of regular training conducted by the training centers on the performance of employees of public sector banks? Another research work which we have conducted. So, है क्या कोई इफेक्ट है क्या भाई? अब आप ट्रेनिंग्स कराते हैं, हर बैंक में इतने सारे ट्रेनिंग सेंटर्स हैं, है अब डेफिनेटली ये assumption ये है कि होगा ही होगा, वरना कोई क्यों ही ट्रेनिंग्स कराए, बट इज देयर एनी इफेक्ट है क्या? चेक करते हैं। अब इसको करके क्या होगा? Why a person wants to do it? Because if it is there, we can do it more rigorously, or we can introduce the new ways of teaching, of training. We can do certain modifications into it. So for that, the measurement is important. See, all the time, action research is not required. We also do fundamental research. We also do analytical research for the future expansions, for the future betterment, for introducing new things. So that is why any kind of research we are doing it to examine the effect of training. It's the same. So obviously here we will examine, and again you can see here the hypothesis is there is no significant difference in the pre-training score. Now you are how you are going to mention the effect of training. I told you na that we have concept and we have variables. So आप किसी का कैसे मेजर करोगे? परफॉर्मेंस कैसे मेजर करते हैं हम लोग? अपने बच्चों का परफॉर्मेंस कैसे मेजर करते हैं? Based on the marks. Okay, or again maybe some people may have some deviation with me, not only marks, this and that, but see in research we have some variables which are fixed and some variables which we do not consider. So usually whenever we talk about the performance, the first and the foremost indicator is the marks. So in case of training, what are the marks? So definitely the marks for the, like the trainer must have some parameters on which they must have they will take some pre-training scores and post-training scores. Okay, so those who are the trainers, they'll do it, and when they will compare that, obviously there will be the pair T test which will be applied to compare the pre and post. So when they will compare it, if there is a significant difference, we will say that yes, there is a effect of training on the employee performance. Okay, fine. Am I audible, madam, clearly?
Yes.
Okay, so that is why this is how we frame the hypothesis, and I hope this part must be now clear to all of you that how we frame the hypothesis. And in the previous one we have not taken this pre-word, but here it was required because we want to see the appraisal scores and we want to compare the scores. So automatically it is indicating that score will be taken pre and post. So now this is how, when I frame this, then this, then this, then the next column, if you add here, it will help you to identify which kind of test or methodology I will be using for my research analysis, for my data analysis, and what kind of data, by the way, I want to collect. And this is what is actually proving that point: formulation, data collection, and test. The three steps which I taught you just the couple of slides back. This is how I try to prove it with these examples. Is there any relationship? Again, I explained you, so I'm not getting into the detail of this particular statement. I hope with the help of this kind of example, little bit clear to all of you how we frame the hypothesis and how we proceed with our research work if it is based on hypothesis. Is it clear? See, in workshop, it is very, very important to ask that is the participant is clear or not. That is very, very important. Okay, then only
Yes.
you'll be able to
Yes, ma'am.
effectively. Thank you. So this was from my side because my job today was to explain you about the hypothesis which I tried to. Okay, I have to explain again. Okay, what I have to explain again, ma'am? This research question, objective, and hypothesis you are saying. Parul, ma'am, this part, the question. Okay, fine. So again, I'm explaining. See, I told you that if I have this case, research question, research objective. Just a minute, this bar is coming in between. Fine. So what I'm explaining is the third section of my today's presentation was writing hypothesis. See, all these things I actually gathered from my own experience, that where the scholars stuck up, or where sometimes as a guide also we stuck up. Okay, so that is why it is very, very important to understand this. If this question is coming in my mind, as I told you, that why a person will go for such kind of study, first of all. So let us understand this with an example again. From this example only, that a company wants to see that वो जितना trainings पे खर्चा कर रही है, expenditure कर रही है, वो worth भी है कि नहीं है. अभी what I say that with the observation, or with the, or as we say in microscope, with the naked eye, we can observe that. But statistically we need to prove it, na? Or sometimes with the help of the in-depth research also we need to prove it, na? So if I want to prove that, so this is a question I am explaining. Is there any effect of regular trainings conducted by training centers on the performance of the employees of public sector banks? It's one of my research work only, quoting that. I cannot take anyone's research work here. To examine the effect of training on the performance appraisal score. Now, I told you that in objective you have to be specific. What you are measuring? We are measuring performance appraisal score of the employees. Obviously, the selected banks or selected banks लिख सकते थे आप इसके आगे और भी लिख सकते थे, but अभी तक भी ये ठीक ठाक objective है. Based on this, obviously, what kind of objective I will make is I have to test. So for testing, I will be making this null and alternate. Okay, and I told you that here I can maybe have the relational hypothesis. Higher the number of training, good is the appraisal score of the employee. Now I can make a relational hypothesis here also, or maybe I can make a directional hypothesis here also, but I have not mentioned that here. So, but still, if I want to check it कि ऐसा है कि नहीं है, तो मैं क्या करूंगी? तो मैं सिंपल से दो मतलब जो स्कोर है, मतलब जो ट्रेनिंग्स है, मैं मतलब उसका डेटा कैसे कलेक्ट करेंगे, चलो इसको आपको और समझाते हैं. डेटा कैसे कलेक्ट करेंगे? आई टेक अ पब्लिक सेक्टर बैंक्स, आई टॉक टू मैनेजर्स, आई विल रिक्वेस्ट देम कि ये मेरा रिसर्च वर्क है, तो वो लोग आपको डेटा प्रोवाइड करेंगे. डेटा कैसे प्रोवाइड करेंगे? मतलब उनको हम ये बताएंगे, ऑब्वियसली उनके यहाँ ऐसा कोई मेजरमेंट शायद नहीं होगा, तो फिर हम उनसे रिक्वेस्ट करेंगे. And that is why research is, I told you that research is critical or research is tough, but it is not, what I can say is that it is something which you can do it, but it is exhaustive. Sorry, it is exhaustive. So you can take the scores of the certain employees of different banks, and you can compare that. How you will compare? You will take some set of employees, then you will see that what kind of training they have taken. So before training, maybe you are taking 4 trainings, 5 trainings into consideration. So before training, you take a score. After training, you take a score, and you will map it and you will compare it. So here you will maybe applying pair t-test or pre and post assessment. That's the statistical part I'm not covering today, or maybe any kind of non-parametric test. So this is what writing hypothesis will help you to know what data you need to collect and to know what tests you need to apply. And that is why the formulation and writing hypothesis is very, very important. What scholars do, the usual mistake is they write X objective, they write Y hypothesis, and collection so I don't know, and analysis so okay, you put some analysis on it. So this is not actual the research is. So even if this much research is clear with the research scholar, I'm telling you, I will be able to give something good to this society. Because in PhD, I'm not saying, if I'm talking about the PhD research, sorry, I cannot generalize that because my sample size is not that big to generalize anything. But if I'm doing the research for a project, okay, or if I'm doing a research at mass level, definitely this kind of results will surely help the policymakers to amend something or to change something or to upgrade something. Okay, if you say कि यार अब नहीं हो रहा है, आपके employees में कोई बहुत फर्क नहीं आ रहा है, तो definitely the company may think about what should we do, and that is what is the job of the consultants. I also do one study long back, wherein kind of a research work was there, and there I have applied some t-test and factor analysis to analyze certain objectives, corporate objectives. So this kind of work is really going on, and companies are looking for research analysts to do such kind of job. I hope, Parul ma'am, now it's clear to you and the query is being resolved from my side. And Brahmadevji also, because you asked me that. No, as I told you, Khyati, that depends on. See, in India, I have seen number of people, because I got an opportunity to sit with a lot of researchers, eminent speakers, experts. So for this, it is still there is like there's no point, there is no specific limit I have seen so far the number of hypotheses is concerned, but it all depends on the number of variables you have taken. I told you in the beginning of my session that in one university I have seen the guide asked the research scholars to make 82 hypotheses. Now, those are not 82 statements I'm telling you. The more, like, the number of variables will decide this null and alternate. Like, for an example here, if you're taking demographic variables, okay? So you're taking age, you're taking gender, you're taking qualification, you're taking education. So you yourself will be able to understand कितना hypothesis आपको बनाना पड़ेगा. Age का एक अलग बनेगा, gender का अलग बनेगा, qualification का अलग बनेगा, education का अलग बनेगा. ऐसे करके अलग-अलग null alternate hypothesis बन जाएंगे. तो आपके total आप hypothesis count करने आएंगे तो आपके 12, 15, 16, 18, 19, 20 कितने बन जाएंगे. Am I clear? Khyati, are you clear with this? So it depends on that how many variables you are taking, first of all, okay? And then if you are taking it one, so you can write there is no significant difference based on the demographic factors. So demographic factors हो गया, अब उसमें आपने सब कर दिया, तो age, gender ये हो गया, वो एक hypothesis हो गया. अगर उसको आपने break कर दिया, तो number of hypothesis बन गए, ठीक है? But null and alternate, okay? Null and alternate, number of बनते हैं. और ऊपर आप जब relational direction लिख रहे हो, तो वो आपके concept और variables के ऊपर depend करता है. So it all depends on how many objectives you are taking. Again, I am explaining and I am closing now my session with this. Question, objective, hypothesis. RQ, RO, RH. It is also available on my like YouTube channel, which madam has mentioned in the beginning. Corona period, I tried to make that, but then it is all on pause. But very soon I'll be uploading my more sessions on that. So anytime if you are framing it, that table is with you. आप उसको सामने रख के बना सकते हैं. And still इसमें बहुत सारा questions आता है, बहुत सारे लोग पूछते हैं. So it goes on like that. See, research is a long-term learning journey, but you all should know from where we should start. If you start, you get a lot of knowledge from various people like me, people like other eminent speakers, and you get a lot of confusion. See, if you get a lot of confusion, frankly, you're on a right track. You are doing research, but do not get over confused. Otherwise, you won't be able to do research. So that's why you have to limit your thoughts. You have to make smart objectives. You have to analyze that whether my research needs hypothesis or not. That means testing of hypothesis. If it is scientific, yes, it is required. If it is exploratory, then obviously, yesterday madam talked to you about the qualitative research, which needs questions to answer, which needs topic guide, which need exploration. So I'm exploring something. So how can I prove anything? Because I'm at the exploration stage. So you as a researcher, after my today's session and after these comprehensive 4, 5, 6 sessions which you have attended so far, ask yourself what kind of research I want to do. And that will clear you all the subsequent things. Thank you to all for listening me patiently. And I hope I try to justify my session today with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I would like to ask participants, if you have any query, you can ask. I think there is no any query, ma'am, because you have cleared the doubts in your session only. So thanks for your informative, wonderful, knowledgeable and insightful session. I would like to hand over the session to Dr. Preeti Oza, ma'am. Ma'am?
Yes, Kshitija.
Yes.
And thank you, Dr. Sangeeta Jowhari, ma'am. It's always a pleasure to have you with us. And every time when you try and connect with scholars, I think that is the best part of your session. And I think many of our participants remember your session as the most, lively and interactive. Thank you so very much, and looking forward to many more stimulating sessions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Preeti ma'am. Thank you, everyone. And thank you for the nice remarks. So you all are making my evening now. I have to leave now from office to my home. Thank you to all.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank
And,
you. We would like to listen you again.
Ma'am, that
surely,
was
ma'am.
wonderful.
For research,
That
I'm
was
always
wonderful.
ready. Priti ma'am knows that. Even we all are ready.
Yes, Madam has
Yes.
a very, very interesting book on research for beginners, and I will share that link also in the group.
Sure,
And
ma'am.
Okay,
Sure,
ma'am.
I'll do that.
it will really help to get the base in the research very strong. Thank you, Sangeeta ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you to
Thank you
all.
all the participants. See you all
Ma'am, that was
tomorrow, 4
wonderful.
o'clock, same place, same time. Have a good night.
Sangeeta ma'am, that was wonderful.
Thank you,
Very
ma'am.
nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sangeeta ma'am. It was really interesting.
Thank you.